Absolutely, Jared. At another big mile-and-a-half track in this round here to continue our playoffs here tonight. Kansas Motor Speedway, a little bit different though than Texas, Jared. It's a true tri-oval shape, a D-shaped racetrack, really, if you will, with a little bit different banking in the corners. This track is going to be a lot more fun to watch, in my opinion, because I think you can get a little bit more spread out here than we saw at Texas.
And let's take a look at the race info as you see qualifying going on right now. Kansas Speedway, 1.5 miles. Right now, the air temperature is 70 degrees, track 80 degrees, partly cloudy, winds out of the east at 7 miles an hour. And, Chris, we look at the championship last week. I mean, very entertaining, but at the end of the day, a playoff driver didn't go home with a victory, so we still have an open field.
Absolutely, Daren Bruce was able to steal that victory away. And Jared, it was a pretty dominant performance by the non-playoff drivers in that race. Just from looking at the top 10, it wasn't full of your playoff contenders as you might think that it might have been.
Yeah, exactly right. And real quick, apologies for the technical difficulties. I know some of you probably were waiting for the intro to come up or something like that, but a little bit of an issue with my restreaming service. So apologies for that, but we are live and ready to go here on YouTube and Facebook. And Chris, we'll take a look at our championship standings. You talked about it briefly. Dale Neera and Bernard Persson, they were able to get third and fourth. Bobby Terrell fifth. But the rest of these guys kind of had ho-hum races. Brody Hand did get a top 10. Casey McMullen with an awkward pit strategy winds up 15th. Brian Helm and Ralph Nolen Jr. Both struggled. I mean, Brian Helm had that really awkward pit strategy, pitting really early, trying to go for a three-stopper. Didn't work out with a 21st place finish.
Not at all, Jared. And really, that's putting a lot of these drivers kind of in a hole at the moment. I mean, 4th through 8th is only separated by 16 points. But 16 points, Jared, that's pretty significant when you come to these races when you have 30 drivers on the track right now, up to 26 that have made a qualifying time. But that's going to make things just all that more difficult, as you're really going to have, and not just a top 10 consistent finish here. You need to be up in the top 5 if you're a playoff driver.
Yeah, we got 34 drivers here tonight, which means nobody can really punch their ticket on points just yet, although it is getting close for guys like Dale Neera and a couple others. Let's take a look at the qualifying boards right now. We got Jason Spear out there. He is done with his lap, apparently. Daren Bruce, last week's winner. What can he do on the scoring pylon as he goes to the top of the board?
Daren Bruce looking to take that winning car from last week and show that he's still got a little bit more dominance here left in the rest of the season. Not a playoff driver, Jared. That just makes it all that more interesting for those playoff drivers that are not starting up here in this top 5.
Yeah, we got Daren Bruce. We got Brian Helm, 1,000th of a second slower. He is a playoff driver. Mark Figueroa, the teammate to Daren Bruce, he is in third. Then we got McMullen, Mayu, Allen, Terrell, Neerad, Hanna, and Mike Watts, your top 10 in qualifying right now. As we got about 50 seconds left, I only see Donnie Staubitz on the track. And Donnie is spinning backwards across the line, so he will turn in the 25th best time. Chuck Sweeting out there, no, Chris. And we know he finished second last week, but just didn't look like he had the momentum at the end of that race to catch up to Daren Bruce.
No, he didn't. But I think we're going to see him with a little bit more speed here tonight, looking really strong in that car. Really just trying to get up here and show people that he's got an opportunity to take this ride to the next level in that 75 Gator racing machine. But once again, it looks like you're going to end up with Daren Bruce as your pole sitter here. Last week, he didn't start from the pole, but he's worked his way up there pretty quickly using a little bit of strategy and luck from some competitors. But he's going to take the pole here tonight, Jared.
Yeah, and Josh Johnson and that was Chuck Sweeting, neither of those drivers able to complete their second lap. Waited just a little bit too long on that, as you see drivers getting out for the warm-up, Chris. And we take a look. This is a big race for a lot of reasons. Number one, this is the last time that we're going to be racing the 550 horsepower package this season. Number one. Number two, it's the final 1.5 miler. And number three, if Full Throttle Sim Racing decides to go with the next gen car, we're down to the end of the era for these Gen 6ers.
Absolutely, Jared. These mile-and-a-half tracks, the last of it right here tonight at Kansas. A lot of drivers think that's going to play to their advantage, but also that means a lot tighter racing and a lot of opportunity for accidents to happen. So if you're really worried about those close tracks like Martinsville next week, you really got to come out here and gain the points that you think you need to advance tonight rather than worrying about your luck next week.
And Chris, you know it's going to be difficult for these drivers next week in Martinsville, but what do these drivers have to do tonight? If you're a guy like Ralph Nolen or Brian Helm or even Wayne Grasse, on the outside, you got a little bit of a gap back. What do you do to kind of ease the mind, ease the anxiety maybe going into this race and then Martinsville next week?
I think the easiest thing for you to do, Jared, is when you're coming out here, you actually need to get track position early on. That's going to be one of the keys to this race. Even though it is a little bit better to get strung out from each driver rather than like Texas, I think really you're going to have to worry more so about here is being able to maintain the track position. Is long runs are typically expected here in the Full Throttle Cup Series, and we've seen it last week at Texas. It just so happens to fall that pit strategy comes important. That's going to be another thing that these drivers are going to be focused on. How long it's going to take to go on a fuel run here, and just exactly how they're going to wear those tires on that run. Then, of course, my third key to this race is going to be all about that entry to pit road. Expecting to go green long run here, you're going to be able to need to be able to get on and off pit road cleanly, fastly, and better than anyone else that you're racing.
Yeah, exactly right, Chris. As you see Josh Johnson on the screen, did fix the brightness a little bit darker. The clouds have kind of moved over Kansas Speedway and have definitely played havoc with our Full Throttle TV cameras here tonight. But I do believe I've gotten this brightened up just a little bit more. But you look at these drivers, Chris, coming into Kansas. I mean, you know, we raced Kansas back in the spring. And, you know, you look at that track, Chris, and it was a win. I believe that win went to Brian Helm or Bernard Person. I'm going to double check that.
Yeah, and those drivers, playoff drivers here tonight. So you look for those two to be at least in the competition running here. Looking at our time just in this little warm-up session, though, Jared, we've got a couple of little surprises up here where Troy Torgerson and Matt Watts and Daren Bruce up here in the top 5. You've got two drivers, Richie Coy, that also seems to be a little bit fast, but the times here, they're not separated by tenths. They're separated by hundredths in our top 5.
Yeah, they sure are. And apologies, that was Randy McCanny that won the last time, Jeff Winter the last time we were here. And then last year, at this time, last year, Randy McCanny won. Only active driver on the track tonight is Brody Hanna, who has won twice. That could be big for Brody Hanna, who is right on that bubble line and needs a good run, probably to kind of ensure himself going into Martinsville.
Yeah, right now he sits 4th in the playoff standings, but that's not a safe spot with those drivers right behind him, Jared. So if he can get up here and score a victory tonight, that'll kind of put him at ease, and then it's all about how you're able to maintain those points with the other drivers up in that playoff standings.
Got about 50 seconds left tonight, Chris, for warm-up. We talked a little bit about Ralph Nolen. Wayne Grasse kind of flew under the radar, but didn't get a good finish at the end of that race. He's the guy that, you know, he's kind of in an awkward position where he has maybe enough points to kind of play that point game, but not enough points to be secure about playing that point game.
Not at all, Jared, and I'm looking to see where he finished in that spring race that we had here. Doesn't look like he actually attended, so that actually makes it all that more hard for him. He doesn't have the experience that some of these other drivers here will have that going into this race tonight, so that's going to make it all that more difficult for him. But once again, looking at the finish from earlier here, the only top 5 finisher from that first race that's in the playoffs here tonight is Casey McMullen.
And we know Casey McMullen definitely could use a good points night, has had a great season for all intents and purposes, but unfortunately just kind of got caught out by the strategy, I guess you could say, in a lot of ways. Maybe he was banking on the caution that never came. But that's going to do it for the pre-race. Let's get into the race here tonight as the drivers getting lined up on the grid, ready to go to get the Kansas 200 started. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here as it's going to load up across the screen here in just a moment. There we go. Daren Bruce on pole with a time of 29.713. Brian Helm will line up second. Row number 2 is Daren Bruce's teammate Mark Figueroa, along with playoff driver Casey McMullen. Row number 3 is Josh Mayhew and Lane Allen. 4 is Bobby Terrell and Dale Nearad, and rounding out your top 10, Brody Hanna and Mike Watts.
Behind them, and row number 6, Richie Coy and Wayne Grasse. Row number 7, Matthew Geringer and TJ Bartel. Row 8, Gilgock and James Torrey. Row 9, Bernard Person, Jason Spear in the 18th spot. And rounding out your top 20, Bill Benedict and Andrew Poliski.
Now let's look at row number 11, Stephen Vrooman and Chuck Sweeting. Row 12 will be Josh Johnson and Tony Solari. Row 13 will be Rachel Hunt and the farthest back playoff driver, Ralph Nolen Jr. back there. Row 14, Donnie Staubitz and Kenneth Schultz. And your top 30 is Troy Torgerson and Adam Newton. Looking at the rest of the field, Chris, we've got Kevin Rupert, Stephen Loomis, and Randall Ballard rounding that out.
And Jared, those playoff drivers that are starting in the back of the pack, they're going to have a lot of work here tonight to be able to get themselves up into the top positions here, hoping to score a little bit of luck on their side. But right now, it's not really going to matter because up front, you've got Brian Helm, Casey McMullen. Those two drivers in the playoffs, they're in your top 5. They're looking to take advantage here early on and get a little separation.
Kansas is a highline track. We'll have to see how that goes. And we got a little bit of awkward start there, as we've lost Daren Bruce. Well, that is very awkward. Daren Bruce has dropped connection issue, it appears like. So Figueroa is going to lead him down with Brian Helm in second place. Here we go to start the Kansas 200. Green flag is out. And a good start by Figueroa as he's going to launch down into turn number 1. Daren Bruce able to reconnect, but unfortunately will not start on pole tonight. Brian Helm going to look on the outside. Casey Mullen there as well. Bobby Terrell, McMullen, Hanna, Allen, Coy, Nearad, and watch your top 10 as they come off turn number 2. There's Bruce leaving the pits, Chris, so he's not going to lose a lap, luckily for him.
Not going to lose a lap, but certainly not exactly what he was looking for to start this race. He'll need a caution to kind of catch back up to the end of the field, but leading your first lap is going to be his teammate Mark Figueroa in the 04.
Figueroa to the front, up to the high side in front of the 26th, Brian Helm. Brian Helm's going to be aggressive here, down into turn number 1. He looks on the low side, trying to get that spot away from Figueroa. He needs the win more than pretty much almost all the paddock drivers, except maybe Ralph Nolen Jr., who needs it the most. And he's going to take it.
Going into the third corner, he's easily able to get in front of Figueroa, but right behind him, Casey McMullen moving himself up to the second position as well. So these two playoff drivers knowing what they need to do, getting up here in position early on.
Helm and McMullen, two playoff drivers that McMullen needs points. Win would be nice, but points could still get him in a good position. Helm pretty much getting into toward must-win territory, though not there yet. They're going to be 1 and 2 coming off turn number 2.
1 and 2, and got a little bit of separation between them and Mark Figueroa in the 04, almost a half a second. Lane Allen right behind him in the 14 machine, and then Del Nearad in your top 5 here as well. These drivers, it looks like everyone kind of wants that outside line there, but not able to make it really work well. And Brian Helm, he's kind of committed to the bottom with Casey McMullen, and they're driving away.
Helm and McMullen driving away as we got a little bit of a battle for lead. Casey Mullen has not won a race yet this year. His last win was at Charlotte last year, which was a little bit ago in the Cup Series. So Casey Mullen thirsty for a win. Brian Helm has never won a Cup Series event. They're leading the race right now. We look a little bit further back. Dale Nearad looking underneath Lane Allen. Also looks like he's rolling the bottom pretty well. Mike Watts there in front of Brody Hanna and Josh Mayhew as well on the bottom. Bottom's starting to come in though, Chris. I mean, we got some drivers down there. Wayne Grasse, one of those drivers working the bottom.
Absolutely, and it's one thing, Jared, to be forced to be down there. Kind of like these guys back here in the back of the pack. They kind of don't have much of a choice but to be on that bottom groove. So you've got to figure out how to make it work. Bernard Person's going to take it 3 wide though with Coy and the O2 machine. So definitely trying to figure out how to get up here and around as quickly as possible. Gets a little bit tight going into the corner though. Able to gather it back up, give it a little bit of room there to Richie Coy. So letting that happen, he'll fall right back in line with him. Now the battle for behind them, TJ Bartel looking to go around the O2.
And you look out the back of Bernard Person. We were on board Wayne Grasse while that whole thing was transpiring. Josh Mayhew there in the camo car. He's 3 wide. Bill Benedict looks low.
And Jared, it's a really difficult situation for the O2 of Josh Mayhew, just because of him being in that middle groove. We talked about it a little bit. It is a 550 horsepower package, so you kind of do need the draft here to be able to keep up speed with all these cars. So getting stuck in the middle early on is definitely not what he was hoping to do. And while all that's going on, back up front, Casey McMullen has gotten around Brian Helm to take the lead.
Yeah, we were just trying to get back up to that, Chris, but let's take a quick replay on that and show you guys what happened at home. So Brian Helm was running the bottom side there. McMullen goes to the outside and just gets a good run off turn number 2. Helm does close down the door, but McMullen says, I can pass you no matter what. Oh, Helm threw a little bit of a block there. And McMullen went low and still got the move.
And Jared, that's just a little bit of aggression, knowing that Brian Helm needs to get up here and win here at this racetrack. It's kind of a little bit frustrating when you know you've had a good car pretty much all season. Just had a little luck in the last couple of races for him.
So it's McMullen, Helm, then 2 non-playoff drivers, or at least not active playoff drivers, Figueroa and Lane Allen, who was eliminated after the first round there in 4th place. Terrell, Nearad, those guys along with Bernard Person looking very much they could point their way in unless we get a shock victory out of the bottom 4 drivers there. Bernard Person, though, he is working his way to the front, up 9 spots already, Chris, and that number 8 machine looking underneath Brody Hanna for another spot.
That he is, Jared. It won't be too long. I think he's going to be able to make that happen. Here in the next couple of laps, he loses a little bit of momentum getting loose on the bottom. Going to lose a position here to Richie Coy, but look for him to be trying to gather that back up, and great run for him. Meanwhile, up front, the 26 of Helm seems to be struggling a little bit here as Figueroa has caught him. He's going to look to the outside, now dives to the behind Helm going into the corner.
And you see Casey McMullen's pulled out about a half a second. We're on board Brian Helm right now, and you can see the gap has definitely started to increase for McMullen. Helm looks a little bit loose, which is never a good feeling here at Kansas Speedway, and maybe that car was a little bit free on the bottom. You start moving to the top and gets even more free, and Figueroa is going to look underneath them for second.
Yeah, Brian Helm switched up his groove there, went to the higher line, able to carry the momentum a little bit better. It seems like his car's handling just a little bit better up on that high groove, but at the same time, Figueroa is making the bottom work as they pull dead even coming down through the backstretch.
Wanted to take a look at the only playoff driver we haven't talked about a lot tonight, Ralph Nolen Jr. He is up 10 spots, Chris, from 26. He gets around Josh Mayhew for 16th, and now he's kind of behind James Torrey and Stephen Vrooman as, Ralph Nolen gets loose in the middle of the corner. But, Chris, he's in kind of a difficult position here. I mean, he already said he was the underdog coming into this race, but he's kind of in that position for a must-win. As you see up front, Lane Allen getting underneath Figueroa as Figueroa gets loose off the corner, but Figueroa fights back for third. Oh, a little contact. Lane Allen got loose off the corner. Figueroa had to back out of the throttle. Near wreck for 2 non-playoff drivers, but good handling by both of them there.
Absolutely. Now Lane Allen will have a huge run on the 26 coming down the straightaway here at the line. He's down to almost his quarter panel. Can't quite get there. Loses a little bit of it. Back behind them, Bobby Terrell in the 5. He's trying to make his way up here as well. Started 5th, I believe, on the field here tonight with Daren Bruce ending up not making the start. So he's not really lost too many positions, but now he's starting to gain them.
And I want to look at Daren Bruce. He had to roll off pit road. And Chris, he is in 29th position. As you see him on the screen there, he has gotten around Loomis, Ballard, Schultz, and Rupert here on the track. And I'm looking at Rupert. I don't see any damage, but he is not looking like that car is handling very well. But back up front is Casey McMullen. He has opened up to 3/4 of a second lead as Allen is challenging.
And Allen got real tight coming out of the corner, had to get out of it. He loses momentum to Helm. Now he's going to have, he's up in the wall, Jared, going into 3, touching the wall. That's going to give the position to the 5 car. Now the 5 will look to get away from the 14 and catch the 26.
Top 3 playoff drivers after Allen and Figueroa have had some issues. Dale Nearad sneaking up in this battle as well, as Bobby Terrell still cannot clear Lane out on the outside.
Looks like he'll be able to do it coming out of the backstretch. For now, Lane Allen's going to look to do a crossover on the back straightaway. Not able to do it. Now on the 5 will take that 3rd position as he looks underneath Brian Helm to get 2nd going into 3.
Bobby Terrell, probably one of the most consistent drivers this entire year, Chris. I mean, he has had 1 win and a very, very tight 2nd place finish. So we all remember Atlanta, where Jeff Winter won after leading just the last lap. But Bobby Terrell, I mean, otherwise, I mean, he'd be running away with this championship if we were on the old system.
That he would. Now he gets easily around the 26, clearing him down the back straightaway. Helm will have a little bit of momentum coming from that high groove, but he has to concede the spot. Bernard Person getting around Mike Watts in that 3 machine as well. Move him up into the 7th position with eyes set on Dale Nearad ahead of him.
Bernard Person moving forward. A driver that's moving backwards, that's Josh Mayu. He's down 11 spots. Under heat from Rachel Hunt and James Torrey. Ralph Nolen Jr. has gotten around him. In front of them, Stephen Vrooman, TJ Bartel. This is a big, big wad of cars here. Mike Watts, Wayne Grossi, Brody Hanna, Richie Coy, Bill Benedict. This is not where you want to be if you're a playoff driver like Wayne Grossi, like Brody Hanna, like Ralph Nolen Jr. As you see Bill Benedict drive in underneath Richie Coy.
Bill Benedict doing a great job of using the momentum coming out of the straightaway there to try to get underneath him. Looking back up front, you got Lane Allen under fire now heavily from Mark Figueroa. Those two battling side by side, and behind them, Nearad's just trying to figure out which one to go with.
We saw Figueroa out front. We saw Lane Allen move forward, but these cars looks like the handling has kind of changed on both of them. As they're starting to settle into the run, Lane Allen very close to that wall. Dale Nearad run just a hair off the wall, and he's getting a much better run as he is right on the back bumper of Figueroa.
Yeah, Figueroa slid right up in front of Nearad. Nearad had to get out of it pretty easily there.
Yellow. Sorry,
and
Chris.
We've got our first caution.
Ooh, it's Richie. Is that Richie Coy? And Brody Hanna might be involved. That gaggle we were just on right before you said something about Lane Allen, Chris, I think that's where the wreck happened. And Brody Hanna is missing the front clip on that McDonald's car. I can see it here. There we go. Look at that damage to the 23.
This is a terrible nightmare for Brody Hanna. And unfortunately, Jared, it looks like he completely just got tight coming out of the corner. This one is going to be on the 23.
Might be a couple accidents happening at once. Let's start with the first one, as Jason Spear may have gotten some contact from Matt Geringer. Oh, this is actually, no, it's all the same accident. So he is just going to make a maneuver through the wreck. Wow. Jason Spear gets in the grass to avoid it. So let's see what happens between, it looks like Richie Coy and Brody Hanna, maybe somewhere in that area. So here we go. Brody Hanna slides up the racetrack in front of Mike Watts. This is in turn 3, it looks like. Oh, he gets up into the wall. He gets loose, and he comes down and collects his teammate. Mike Watts might have gotten some damage. Josh Mayu definitely got some heavy damage. Troy Torgerson, what a job by Troy Torgerson. We're going to have to get on board with that one. Holy cow, what a save to get through that wreck. Hanno, significant damage though, Chris.
That was an incredible turn of events there for Troy Torgerson. I'm not sure, Jared, how he was able to do that in that car, but kudos to him for doing so.
On board Torgerson, you see Gil Gach on the inside. There's Donnie Staubitz up the track, wrecking ahead of him. And he starts to see it, lets off the... Oh, he didn't even know. He hits in the back of Gil Gach, and he somehow gets through there. Holy cow. What a job by Troy Torgerson. I don't know if he saw the smoke until he was right up there and nearly... If he didn't make contact with Gil Gach, it was awfully close. But what a job by Troy Torgerson to make it through that mess. We'll get another couple views of this, Chris, as everybody's starting to head down pit road.
Everyone, it looks like, decided to come down pit road, Jared. These drivers all looking to get those fresh tires, and the battle off pit road, give it to Casey McMullen, but just barely over the 5.
One more look at this wreck from a different angle. You see Brody Hanna just clips where the safer barrier kind of juts out. Mike Watts did not get any damage, but I think Bill Benedict got some damage on the side of that vehicle. Richie Coy, who was locked in, Chris, to this round of the playoffs. And then we had a spinning lap car at the Roval. He was dominating that race and unfortunately taken out. But still, nonetheless, a difficult race already tonight for Richie Coy and Brody Hanna. Tony Solari electing to stay out to get a lap lead, I suppose. He is in a battle. Something the real-life guys don't talk about a lot is the battle for different positions and points for payouts in real life and things like that. But we try to focus on what's going on in the FTSR from top to bottom. So there is a battle to get in the top 25 for the rest of the year to make sure you qualify in. if we have more than 43 drivers. So that's
And
ongoing.
Jared, I actually do not think he led a lap. He
Oof.
actually went down pit road, missed his pit stall with the chaos of everyone pitting, and did not pit. He just drove through pit road, but did not ever actually lead a lap, unfortunately.
Well, there you go. He is currently just 2 points outside of the top 25, and the top 25 locked in this year. Starting next year, it's going to go to the top 35. That battle is between Gilgock, John Held, Adam Newton, Randall Ballard, Matt Geringer, Daren Bruce, all kind of lumped into that group, along with Gary Griffith. A couple of those drivers not active anymore, so will likely fall outside the top 35 here shortly. But Chris, this is a tough break for Brody Hand. He came in on the cut line, and now he is dead last on the track.
Yeah, Jared, this is certainly going to make Martinsville a must-win for him. Good news for a couple others that are behind him. They'll be able to make up some positions in the points, but not the way that Brody Hanna wanted to start this second race in the playoffs.
Looking at our playoff drivers, Ralph Nolen Jr. did get some rear end damage in this wreck. He was on pit road for about 40 seconds. Daren Bruce with some damage. The pole setter, who didn't get to lead a single lap because of some connection issues right at the end of warm-up, and we're about ready to go back to green.
Casey Mullen gasses it back up as the green flag comes back out here. Bobby Terrell in the 5 behind him, Brian Helm behind them. 3 playoff drivers now have made their way up to the top 3.
There we go. Bobby Terrell on the outside. Can he do something there? Helm, did he make any adjustments? And what about Chuck Sweeting? Where did he come from? Up, all the way up 16 positions into 6th place. Figueroa giving Helm a shove down the corner.
3 wide behind him was Dale Nearad, dove into the middle of Chuck Sweeney. Chuck Sweeney now all the way up against the
contact!
wall. Contact behind him.
Josh Johnson sliding through the grass. Oh, Kevin Rupert gets involved. And yeah, we've got a yellow flag now. Man, Josh Johnson nearly had that car saved. Rupert's going to get a penalty for sliding through pit road. That's unfortunate. Innocent bystander there. Let's see what happened. Chris, it's a big gaggle back here. It all kind of starts when Bill Benedict and we got the wrong angle on this. Let's take another look at this. Chuck Sweeting may have gotten a little bit loose off the corner, caused Bill Benedict to kind of move down, and there's Josh Johnson right there, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can see. Yep, there we go. Bill Benedict was the contact, but everybody was kind of jammed in there quite a bit. And you look at Kevin Rupert, nowhere to go, slides through the grass. Daren Bruce also with some contact as well, Chris.
Yeah, Jared, I believe this all ended up starting when Chuck Sweeney got taken 3 wide in the middle of the corner. They were starting to get back to 2 wide. Bill Benedict was trying to give Chuck Sweeney a little bit more room, didn't realize that he was getting that much closer to Josh Johnson, and that's where the contact came into play there. And just kind of sent Johnson through the grass. He was doing everything he could to possibly save that car. Daren Bruce also gets contact with getting into the back of Troy Torgerson. Torgerson was slowing down way hard to make sure that he didn't get any damage to the front of his car, ended up getting it to the back instead.
Yeah, a lot of things going on there. I think Bruce that was actually Adam Newton, it looks like, not Troy Torgerson. It looked like that he got into with some heavy damage to the 20 machine. But Chris, you look at these guys. Now, we've seen this before, in many races, not just here at FTSR, but other leagues. You run a lot of green flag laps, you get a couple cautions, and all of a sudden, the whole race changes, and here we are, the race is changing.
That it is, Jared, but it's interesting to see what these drivers are doing. A couple guys that don't have actual damage went down pit road to get a little bit of fuel here in hopes that they can actually get out here and outrun these guys on a long run and hope it plays down to mileage. Richie Coy was the lucky dog for this caution.
We got Chuck Sweeting, James Torrey, Matt Geringer, Lane Allen, all down pit road without damage. Josh Mayu electing to take tires, some with Lane Allen. Adam Newton he does have damage on the front end, but did not either get it repaired or does not have that much damage. Randall Ballard also down the way. He has not been in a wreck tonight, but the 56 car looking for his first top 10 or first top 5 of the year. Randall's had kind of a subpar year by his standards, and you see Richie Coy get the lucky dog, get back on the lead lap, and the 19 machine now has to start moving forward to try to get some points. under our second caution here at Kansas. 27 laps, apologies, in the books. Second caution, the first caution, if you're just now joining us, little contact between Brody Hanna and the wall, got loose, got into his teammate Richie Coy. A couple other drivers caught up in that as well. Ensuing restart, contact between the 75 and the 90, collected the 06 of Josh Johnson, 05 of Josh Johnson, and has put us under our second caution of the night, Chris. Now, we've had some playoff drivers with damage. Brody Hanna is now 7 laps down in 33rd. Ralph Nolen's got some damage. He's back up to 16th after some repairs. What do these others... But for the first time in this round, Chris, 6 of our top 7 drivers are all in the playoffs right now. Grasse, the last of those, in 7th.
And Jared, looking at those drivers, there's only one driver in there who has not gained any positions. That's Brian Helm. He started second. He's still second. Everyone else that's in the top 10 here, other than Mark Figueroa, have pretty much gained either 3, 2, 5, 13 positions in our top 10. That's kind of an impressive feat. Right now, Bernard Persson and Steven Vrooman both up 12, 13 positions so far in this race. So they're able to get things done. Steven Vrooman not in the playoffs, but certainly looking strong here tonight.
I want to give a shout out to Steve Loomis, the 17 machine. He coached softball for most of the year, and he was unable to race a lot of the races consistently anyway. He is up 20 positions, started dead last on the field. He's in 13th alongside his teammate Donnie Stoppitz, who started 27th. Both those Blackwater drivers moving forward. You also have Troy Torgerson up 14, Nolen up 10, Bill Benedict up 10, Vrooman up 13, and Bernard Persson up 12. That's our big gainers thus far in the race.
And Jared, we've seen it already. A lot of these drivers are having to deal with avoidance and also keeping their car underneath them, getting a little bit of tight coming out of the corner. It seems like a couple of drivers seems to be getting really loose coming into the middle of the corner, driving that car up into the wall on exit. And that's kind of, I believe, what happened to Brody Hanna. Not necessarily a tight condition, just loose in the middle of the corner, kind of slid him up. That's going to be an issue here. Not so much so as we had in the real world where we had that bad wind that seemed to be impacting everyone, but still you have to worry about how your car handles in the middle of the corner, because that really is what sets you up on the exit of the corner as we get ready to go green.
McMullen will lead him down with Brian Helm on the outside. Green flag back out here at Kansas, and a little bit of a slow start by Brian Helm.
Definitely a slow start by Helm. Bobby Terrell had to get completely out of it to avoid getting into the back of him now, as Brian Helm has lost 2 positions. Still not up quite to speed, and really looks like he's kind of started in the wrong gear, Jared.
Wow, and I couldn't tell from the angle we had, but it looked like maybe some damage from on the back of the 26. No, I think they're all good.
And Bernard Persson is looking underneath Casey McMullen coming out of the corner. He wants to get up here and lead this race.
Bernard Persson, where did he come from? Figueroa to the outside. We got 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide for the lead. Bernard Persson on the inside. McMullen in the middle. And up on top, Figueroa in the 04. Now give it to Bernard Persson going into the corner as he's able to drive in way harder. McMullen getting a little tight. How to get out of it. That's going to lose him a little bit of time. And that's going to put Brian Helm alongside him. Farther back in the pack, Jason Spear got completely sideways coming out of the corner, creating a little bit of a logjam now. 3 wide back there as well.
Torgerson and Loomis 3 wide there. Also TJ Bartel. A lot of battling going on throughout the field. This is back for 13th. Bernard Persson gets up to the lead, Chris. He is taken off. Still 3 wide back here. We're going to keep an eye on this group as Steve Loomis gets pushed into the sandwich. Now they're settled down.
Brian Helm's doing everything he possibly can to get around Casey McMullen. McMullen able to make that outside lane work, though, Jared. He's able to pull up to Brian Helm every single time they're on a straightaway, and that's making it that much harder for Helm. Those drivers getting incredibly close to one another, trying to make things work, but they're dead even at the line again.
On board Wayne Grasse, who's in 7th place. He's looking to gain some points tonight. Vrooman looking up, peaking, but not going to be able to get there right now. Figueroa up to the high side of the track, Chris. And one thing I noticed, these cars, they seem to not be drifting to the top of the track as much as I thought, as Grassi's going to look underneath Nearad for 6th.
Yeah, Jared, I have to agree. They're able to run that middle and bottom groove a little bit better. Brian Helm was able to get in front of Casey McMullen, kind of did a little bit of a slide job in front of him, And as soon as he started to do that, Casey McMullen recognized it, ended up going low. Now he's back up to the bumper of the 8 machine. They're side by side again for the lead as Casey McMullen looks to take that spot again.
Person could not hold on to lead. There's McMullen with the side draft down the straightaway. Really pulled back the 8 machine, and look at the rocket. Casey McMullen to the lead.
What a textbook move of side draft there by the 71 machine. And now Bernard Person's going to use that outside lane. He's going to get all the way back up to the bumper. Oh, contact between the two.
Contact into one, giving Casey McMullen a little bit of a shot. But this is the first driver I've seen all year that's been able to play the side draft correctly, really, at the end of the day. He did a great job. I think a lot of guys are nervous about it. Casey McMullen, not nervous. He went for it, and it paid off for him. Bobby Terrell now looking underneath the 26.
Looking past the 26, Jared, as they come onto the straightaway here. Bernard Person, he might have been a little unhappy with that side draft, but it was interesting to see that he elected to stay behind the 71 instead of jumping to that outside lane.
Terrell gets underneath Bernard Person. Dale Nearad gets around Figueroa. Now Vrooman and Wayne Grasse put Figueroa under attack here into turn number 3. And Figueroa, a little bit close for comfort for Grasse and Vrooman back here. I thought Vrooman was angling a little bit differently, but was able to get that car straightened out. But we have a lot of action all throughout the pack right now, Chris.
That we do. Bernard Person under attack by the 5 machine of Bobby Terrell. Running 2 different lines here, Jared. Bobby Terrell's all the way on the white line here throughout the corners, and then Person on the outside able to make it where he gets such a good run on the straightaways using that high line, but not enough pace to be able to get in front of the 5 and clear him. Now it looks like the 5 is going to have the opportunity to get up top and slam the door on Person and set his sights on McMullen.
Terrell to second. Person drops to third. Helm to fourth. Dale Nearad in 5th. And now we got Figueroa and Steven Vrooman battling up here into inside the top 10. That is a battle for 7th place as Wayne Grasse was not able to hold back the 0-0 of Vrooman.
And Dale Nearad in that 03 got really loose coming out of the corner. It looked like he might be a goner there for a moment. Able to gather it back up, just running so much harder in that outside lane. He had a great run on Helm, but because he got loose, he had to get out of it and really lost all that momentum. Now he's under fire by that 0-0 as well.
Steven Vrooman moving to the front, trying to go for the top 5. What a run by Vrooman. No top 5s yet this year. Has had some top 10s, though. Vrooman trying to make a move underneath Figueroa. Grasse trying to push him back.
That's going on. Casey McMullen is doing everything he can to keep that top spot. Bobby Terrell in that 5 machine able to make that bottom group work just so well, Jared. He's able to get right up to him. He was right side by side with him while we were looking farther back at Vrooman. Now he's off a little bit, but he's able to get really, really close in the corner. If he can get there and side draft to 71, kind of pulled the same move that Casey was able to do on Bernard Person, that would be a great advantage for the 5.
These guys have to make it, Chris, and correct me if my math is wrong. They need to make it about, they pit on 21, and I think they could do 55 laps. So I think this is a one-stopper at this point. We got a battle for the lead. Terrell is underneath McMullen coming to the line.
Underneath McMullen, but McMullen has the advantage from that outside line. He's able to pull up off a little bit, but he was not able to get the run that he was able to.
Oh, reckon.
Couple corners.
Matt Geringer is in the wall. We stay green. The 11 car.
Torrey, he got off track as well, but they gathered it back up, going the right way. Bobby Terrell looking to take the lead before we can get a caution here. He's underneath as hard as he possibly can, just can't get the run out of the corner as McMullen gets the momentum on the outside. He's going to lead this lap, Jared.
There we go. So we do stay green. It looked like maybe some contact between the 2 and the 11. Not 100% sure. We'll try to get a replay on it, but right now it is Bobby Terrell and Casey McMullen battling door to door. And shockingly enough, they're not bringing anybody back to them, as Bernard Person is there. But look ahead. They are catching Richie Coy, who is going to have to figure out where he wants to go. And there's really nowhere he can go, as he had guys running on both sides of the track.
And Bobby Terrell switching it up, going to a middle line here. I don't know if that was on purpose or he just missed his mark there, but that's going to make it a little bit easier for him getting around this lap traffic. But it pulled Bernard Person right up to his bumper as well. Now we kind of got another 3-way battle for the lead.
Richie Coy did pull the apron, let these leaders go by. Back behind this main group, Vrooman has moved himself up underneath of Dale Nearad. That's a battle for 5th position. Vrooman and the 00 having a great run, a career night really at the end of the day. And now they're going to kind of get boxed in by Richie Coy, who is trying to get out of the way, but he doesn't really have anywhere he can go, unfortunately. I mean, there's nowhere to hide at Kansas, but everybody running all over the track.
Not at all. That gave Vrooman a little bit of a headache there, trying to figure out how to get away from Richie Coy. Coy able to go all the way to the apron, almost touching the grass, Jared, just to get out of the way of those drivers racing 3 wide with him.
And just to reiterate, nothing wrong with what Richie Coy is doing. It's impossible. At Kansas, Figueroa, oh my goodness, if he didn't touch the wall, you couldn't put a paper between it, as he almost got up in there. That's going to get Vrooman the spot back, and Grassie's now going to try to pounce. Back a little further, Bill Benedict in 9th, and Donnie Staubitz has gotten up into 10th place in that number 99 machine. We got Torgerson up to 11th. Poliski, Bartel, and Nolen has moved himself up to the top 15. He is not the lowest running playoff driver. That's Brody Hanna, who does not look like he is going to be able to get this car back out anytime soon.
And that's going through Ralph Nolen's mind. He knows that he's getting these positions on Brody Hanna, and he's trying to do whatever he possibly can to take advantage of it, because he was behind Brody going into this race. A couple of different drivers were. They're looking to get as many points between them and Hanna as possible. Easiest way to do that now, with the bad luck for Hanna, is to gain position. So that's what he'll be looking to do all race long.
And if the results ended right now, obviously Casey Mullen would punch his ticket, and that would move Dale Nearad to 2nd, Bobby Terrell to 3rd, and Bernard Persson to 4th. So Persson would be the bubble driver. That's crucial because, Chris, those guys are quite a bit ahead of the rest of the drivers. We haven't even talked about them being in that bubble conversation at all, but Casey Mullen, a win from him, or Wayne Grossi, or Ralph Nolen, or even Brody Hanna, obviously, changes this whole entire playoff picture.
That it would, Jared, and I think it would actually put Bernard Persson and Bobby Terrell at this moment are tied in points, with Terrell able to get up and lead 1 lap. So right now, with them running the way that they are, that would make things all that much more tight for that last position.
Yeah, and coming into this race tonight, Bobby Terrell was 15 points ahead of the cutoff driver, which was Casey Mullen, 22 ahead of Wayne Grossi. So still a sizable gap if this does hold to fruition, but still a long way to go, as we're not even at halfway yet in the Kansas 200. McMullen leading from Bobby Terrell, Bernard Persson, Brian Helm, and Dale Nearad, your top 5. Vrooman is trying to work his way into that group, followed by Grossi, Figueroa, Benedict, and Troy Torgerson, battling with Andrew Poliski for 9th place.
And it's interesting to watch all these different drivers trying to mix up their line just to figure out the best way to get around these other drivers. I've been watching our leaders for the last couple of laps, Jared. Casey McMullen is not running the same groove every single lap. He's watching to see what Terrell does, kind of waiting really late into the corner before he's deciding where he's going to run, whether it be the high groove, middle groove, or low groove here. And really, it's making it all that more difficult for Terrell.
We got a wreck. It's Mike Watts. Chuck Sweeting involved. Mike Watts, heavy impact to the inside wall. And we were just on it. We noticed some stuff was going on back here. Let's see what happened. It looks like maybe between Mike Watts and Lane Allen.
Oh, Jared, I believe that Mike Watts got a little bit loose coming out of the corner, and Lane Allen was trying to get out of as much as he possibly could. Had nowhere to go with that 14 machine.
Ooh, Jason Spear very lucky today. Holy cow. Lane Allen's not going to hit anything. Mike Watts will, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get a better look at that. So here we go. Mike Watts loose off the corner. Loose off the corner. Actually, there's no contact. No contact between the 14 and the 3. Mike Watts just got loose, tried to save it, and got in the wall. And then Lane Allen got into the back of him. So not much Lane Allen could do there along for the ride. As everybody down on pit road now, Chris.
Give them those fresh tires, Jared. Everyone knows that they need them to be up to speed here with everyone else around them. But once again, we talked about accidents and talking about mistakes. Right now, it's critical to not make a mistake on pit road.
Everybody that can pit is on. Richie Coy is going to be our lucky dog once again, I believe. So put him back on the lead lap in 30th position. Here we go. Race off pit road. Casey Mullen wins by a mile, followed by Terrell. It looks like Helm, Persson, Nearad, Vrooman, Figueroa, Grossi, Benedict, Torgerson and Bartel all in that group. Then we got stragglers Hunt, Gok, Solari, Spear, Poliski, Nolen, Schultz, Mayu, Bruce, Sweeting, Newton, and Loomis will be the last guys off. It looks like Donnie Staubitz had some damage. He's getting repaired. He's going to drop from inside the top 10 all the way back to 27. So there we go, Chris. One driver did stay out, Matt Gehringer.
About to mention it, Gehringer staying out, but it looks like, Jared, he's going to make his way to pit road now, giving up that lead, giving it back to Casey McMullen. And it looks like Richie Coy would have been able to take a waiver round, but elects to use the lucky dog instead so he can get back and get some damage repaired to that machine and actually pit without having to worry about it. But that's still a key critical thing for him, Jared. You can't really get up and pass cars for position if you're not on the lead lap, not as easily at least. So he's going to go get work done to that car, try to get a little bit more speed in it, and kind of hope to be able to keep on this lead lap through the rest of the race.
Exactly right. You see Richie Coy on our screen right now as he works his way back to catch up to the field. Casey McMullen leading. He is led the most laps so far tonight, followed by Bobby Terrell, Bernard Person, Helm, and Nirad. Top 5 are all playoff drivers. Grasse in 8th, the only other playoff driver in the top 10. Our next one down is Nolen in 17th, way back there. And then we have Brody Hanna, who is currently in the garage in last position.
Well, we're going to get ready to stack them up here again. Casey McMullen, Bobby Person, Bernard. I think I just mixed up two names there. Bobby Terrell, Bernard Person, Brian Helm. Helm had a terrible restart the last time. He's looking at a little bit of a redemption here as he's going to be able to start in that second row on the outside, Jared. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to get that thing going in the right direction as opposed to last time.
We've got some guys join us in the chat tonight. Dean Doucette and Sherwood Williford not out here tonight. They are rooting on Casey McMullen. Sherwood saying the 71 is spooky fast. And Dean Doucette just saying, let's go, Casey. Those guys, obviously, Cup drivers, but occasionally not able to make the races due to some other engagements. So glad they're tuning in and watching here tonight as Casey McMullen really kind of can really shake up this entire playoff grid, Chris, right before Martinsville, which we already know is going to shake it all up.
Absolutely. And right now, Casey McMullen in that 71, he's kind of been the best in class here. We've seen other drivers get up there and contend for the lead, but really he's been the most consistent up front here so far tonight, looking to be able to do it. I know it's only 53 laps in, but really I think if you're going to win this race, it's going to be between the 71 and the 5.
What an awesome paint job. I give Casey McMullen, I have to say this, probably paint job of the year. You know, that special edition, at least special edition paint job of the year for that 71. Very cool Halloween / breast cancer awareness themed car on that 71. Pace car is off, and we're about ready to get this Kansas 200 restarted. 13 laps from halfway. McMullen will lead him down with Terrell on the outside. Green flag is back out here at Kansas, and a good restart by both the front row, but Casey McMullen just a tad better.
Just a tad better. But Brian Helm is a little bit closer on the bumper of the 5 machine, going to give him a little bit of a help on the draft going into the corner. But in the corner itself, they're dead even. And Bernard Person, he is right there. Oh, gets a little bit tight coming out of the corner, looks like. Now, Bobby Terrell, he's going to lead them into turn 3. Will he be able to use that outside lane to get in front of the 71?
What a move by Bobby Terrell to the outside. McMullen loose on the bottom. That's going to open the door for the 5 car to get through. Helm's going to try to follow as well.
What an incredible moment there. The 71 getting loose there. You could see he was doing everything he can in that car to keep it going the right direction without losing much momentum. Able to get it going the right way again, but he's still loose coming out of the corner. Now Brian Helm going to look underneath him.
Casey McMullen being aggressive. He needs to be. He needs these points. He doesn't want to have to race his way in at Martinsville. Helm to the inside. Nirad trying to follow through, but McMullen with a great run on the outside.
Helm tried to close the door on the 71 machine, got him out of the throttle. That lost his momentum coming down the straightaway. Otherwise, I think he would have been able to drive back into that second position. Instead, he falls to 4th behind Dale Nirad.
Oh, Vrooman behind this group. He gets loose up the corner, holds on to Figueroa, had to check up, but almost had a big accident. Excuse me, as I almost lost my breath there. Vrooman Great job by Figueroa not to run into him. Back up front, Terrell leading his second lap of the race.
Leading the second lap, he's able to get in front of Helm here. Casey McMullen, though, coming back strong in that third position, was able to power around Del Nearad on the bottom here. So that driver of the 71, he knows what he gave up. He's looking to get onto the outside here. Brian Helm able to do so. Now side drafting again on the back straightaway as the 71 move him into second, Jared.
And if you're rooting for Team Chaos, if you will, Brian Helm would be the most chaotic winner out of this top 4 group because he is in 7th place, about 26 points off the cut line. So a win by Brian Helm would really shake things up because Casey Mullen far closer to Bernard Person. And they're close through turn 2. Chris, say Casey Mullen there. He is side drafting through that corner.
What an incredible close driving by the 71 and the 26. And Jared, there's not a lot of different drivers that you want to be that close to here on any track, let alone at one of these 1.5-mile racetracks, just because of the downforce that is needed on these cars to get through a corner. Casey McMullen and Brian Helm, incredible competition to each other, and a little bit of respect from both of those drivers being able to go that close and not being able to make contact, as it looks like they're going to play it a little bit safer in this corner.
Chris, both these guys kind of fighting for their playoff life, especially Brian Helm. Casey Mullen can still is still well within that points battle to get in the top 4, but this is playoff time. We got Martinsville looming, and then obviously the championship race at Phoenix for the 4 remaining drivers. But Casey Mullen basically racing like this is a do-or-die race for him, and I think sometimes you got to. These cautions have not helped him out at all tonight, as Bobby Terrell was able to kind of scoot away from this battle, but it's 2 by 2 all the way back behind these guys still, Chris. What a great race.
Casey McMullen got a little bit loose on that high side, able to still keep it going in the right direction without losing momentum. Pulls a little bit further ahead of Brian Helm. Helm not able to side draft at that time on the straightaway. He's going to have to do it hard, though, on the front stretch to be able to prevail if he's going to keep that 71 beside him. Able to kind of keep it even at the line, though. Give it to Casey McMullen that time at the line, though.
Unfortunately, it's for second place is what these guys are doing as we hop on board. Brian Helm racing for Mia again tonight. Definitely love to see that on the car, and definitely enjoy seeing Bernard Person doing well because we know that little girl and her family watch the races. Maybe not live, but they definitely do watch them, and definitely want to give a shout out. Continued thoughts and prayers for Mia as finally Casey Mullen prevails, Chris.
He is able to prevail. Now he'll set his sights on that 5 machine. But look what it did to this entire field here, this top half of the field. You've basically got them all bunched up, and Bobby Terrell was loving it as he was able to drive to almost a second lead over the second position, now cut down to just 0.8, as it looks like Casey McMullen's a little bit faster than the 5.
And you look back here, battle for 10th, Tony Solari, TJ Bartel, Bill Benedict. We don't talk about some of these guys a lot. TJ Bartel with the surprise fuel mileage win back at Nashville over Jeff Chandler, I believe that was. And he has had a great night here tonight. Troy Torgerson up in 9th, just ahead of him. Then we got Grasse, Steven Vrooman, and Figueroa all in this group. These are not playoff drivers, but Wayne Grasse is one of them, and he gets loose off the corner.
That he does. That's going to give a little bit of momentum to the 98 of Troy Torgerson. He's going to go to the outside trying to get around the 7. He's up 20 positions on the start of this race. Started in 29th, now up to 9th. Looks for 8th. He's going to take it on at least 2 at the line. He has it, trying to do everything he can to get around the 7 here on the outside. Worked for Casey McMullen up in that second position. He's going to try to do it here for 8th.
Ralph Nolen Jr. trying to save his playoff, try to keep his playoff hopes alive. He moves under Bill Benedict. That's for 12th position, just behind Tony Solari. Now, he is the lowest running driver in the playoffs that's on the track. Brody Hanna, again, in the garage. 43 laps down right now. So tough break for him with that accident. But up front, it's Bobby Terrell. That gap has not really decreased a whole lot, Chris. Maybe a 10th or a 100th here or there. But McMullen, actually, that time by, did gain a little bit more, starting to just kind of piece his way into this.
Absolutely. You mentioned Ralph Nolen working his way up into that 12th position. He started this from this caution 16th. So he's gained 4 positions, and looking through the field, he's pretty much the only one that's gotten that many positions on the restart. So definitely looking to get a little bit of momentum going for that number 95 machine as he's able to get alongside the 74 of Tony Solari. He's going to do everything he possibly can to try to make these moves here early on, Jared, and he's definitely being a little bit aggressive doing it.
Solari, the only Fury Motorsports driver without driver damage, and he is up there having himself a great night. But Ralph Nolen Jr. move him to 11th place. He would love to get to the top 10. He's going to look underneath TJ Bartel for 10th coming off turn 4.
That's an incredible feat there to turn that hard left and drive up underneath TJ Bartel. Bartel had to get out of it a little bit. It looked like he was going to get tight to get up into the wall, but still a great knowledge there by the 95 of being able to go there and make it work. Now he's going to set his sights on Torgerson, as Torgerson got a little bit loose going into the corner as well.
Ralph Nolen knows that all the drivers in front of him, he's losing ground to him. Yeah, he's gaining ground on Brody Hanna, but Brody may not be a factor in the playoff bubble at this time after this race is over. So he's worried about Wayne Grasse. He's worried about Casey Mullen, and he's worried about Brian Helm, guys that are all in front of him right now. As you see, Rachel Hunt trying to make a move behind him. Back up front, Terrell, that gap has come down 2/10 since we last checked. Terrell and McMullen are definitely the class of this field tonight, Chris. The Spear guys, they just don't, it look like they have the same kind of forward motion.
Absolutely, but the only one of the Spear Motorsports drivers that seems to always be netting positions on a run is going to be Bernard Person as he gets around Brian Helm for that 3rd position.
So Person to the podium, Helm back to 4th, Nearad in 5th, and he's got a whole group of cars breathing down his neck. Wayne Grasse, Mark Figueroa in that group. Then we got Vrooman, Torgerson, and Nolen all back here. This is the back half of the top 10. Everybody else kind of starting to conglomerate up. Solari has punched his way to 11th over Hunt. TJ Bartel starting to fall off just a little bit. Gil Gach, Bill Benedict, your next 5 up. Then it's a big gap to Poliski, Sweeting, Torrey, Spear, and Allen back there. Some of those cars with some damage, Chris. But back up front, under half a second between Terrell and McMullen. I think Terrell or McMullen has the best car on the long run.
I think that's definitely true. He's able to get up there. It's interesting, though. He's made some adjustments to that car, I believe, Jared. The first longer run we had, Terrell was able to kind of start to close in on him, as well as Bernard Person, but not this run. It looks like now McMullen has really done a number on that car to get it better on the long runs. It's interesting, though, because he's not gaining tenths every lap. He's maybe gaining 500s, Jared, and every one of those hundreds matter, which is what's getting him closer and closer to that number 5.
And you see the time delta bars down at the bottom. You see the longer the bar is, that means the bigger the gap is. It's gone in the last 10 laps from 9/10 to half a second. So basically a second to a half a second in 10 laps. So he's not gaining a lot, like you said, Chris. So the data backs that up. But McMullen is definitely coming. Doesn't have a great run through this corner, though. May lose some time this time around.
Got really close to the wall, Jared, and it looks like he was losing time. Actually, was using that to get the momentum here. Whittles that lead back down to almost 4/10 before the corner, losing it again. He's using that a little bit higher line than Terrell, and it's kind of giving the advantage on the straightaways.
And he's able to really gain down that time now. But and I wonder if Bobby Terrell, Chris, is using his stuff up by running that bottom line. I mean, he's got the whole track to himself, but at what cost? And there is Casey Mullen. He has gained a ton of time on this lap.
That he has, but every time he gets that much closer, Bobby Terrell's going to be watching and change up his line. Is now Terrell in the middle groove here, trying to get a little bit more dirty air on the 71 to keep him from being able to get those massive runs on the straightaway. Not able to really work for him, though, as he's gaining almost a tenth just in that one straightaway.
Already down to under 4/10 of a second between these two drivers. And Casey Mullen is coming to the front, Chris.
That he is. You can see it here, getting it down underneath 4/10 of a second now, almost down to 3/10 before they catch the corner, Jared. He's got a lot of momentum in that 71 with that higher line. But Terrell, if he's going to get up there and start blocking, he's going to need to do it any corner now.
And don't forget, these guys still likely have one pit stop remaining in this event. So if I was a betting man, they'll probably split this next run in half. And the final run would have been 74 laps. So I'm expecting pit stops around lap 85 to 90 in this run to finish out the race if we stay green. McMullen down to 3/10 of a second. He is really mowing down some time, but he's doing it in a consistent way. He's not gaining a bunch all at once.
No, he's not, Jared, and that's actually helping him a little bit. He lost a little bit of time coming through 1 and 2 there, though. Almost 500s on Terrell. Terrell's watching him. I'm pretty certain he's seeing him out of the mirror as Terrell now goes up to that higher line, trying to do whatever he can, but Terrell not able to stay on the throttle like McMullen. McMullen catching him pretty closely now, down to 3/10.
Let's look out the back of the 5 machine of Bobby Terrell. And you see he's letting off the gas quite a bit there. In case Mullen really isn't, Chris, he is really getting some time now.
That he is. So that higher groove for Terrell, trying to get up there and put the dirty air on McMullen, really not working too well for Terrell because he's just not able to get into the throttle near as much. He recognizes it, immediately goes back to the bottom of the racetrack here, and just look what it did to the timing. He's able to gain a little bit on McMullen. McMullen will have the advantage coming down the straight, but not near as much advantage as he was having in 1 and 2 last time. We'll have to watch here to see what Terrell does. Once again, back to that bottom line.
Yeah, I think Bobby tried to get up there and put some dirty air, but just either didn't work or the car just wasn't really comfortable for him up there, as McMullen's gained a ton of time down the straightaway again, but is being very conservative with the driving. I mean, it's still a long way to go before the end of this thing.
And Terrell definitely has got an advantage in 3 and 4 as he goes from the bottom to the middle coming out of the corner there. But Casey McMullen's recognizing it, using all the drafting tools he possibly can, and also making up enormous amounts of time in turns 1 and 2, just under 3/10. Doesn't lose near as much with Bobby running that lower groove. Now almost 2/10 separating your top 2.
Want to check in real quick on the rest of the playoff. The top 6 are all playoff drivers. Wayne Grasse is in that 6th position now. He's looking under Dale Nearat for a top 5. We'll check back in with McMullen and Terrell once that gap gets back below 0.3 of a second. We got 4 cars battling for 3rd. Person, Helm, Nearat, and Wayne Grasse all right there. They have pulled a gap on Figueroa and Torgerson. At the same time all that was going on, Solari has moved himself back to 10th place. So good run by Tony Solari in the 74. Probably his best run of the year so far, so good job for him as he is in 10th place. But Ralph Nolen Jr. starting to move back.
That he is. I think he was expecting to have a quick caution and burn his tires up a little bit, overheated them. He's now looking to cool them back off to make a run for the top 10 again. Back up front, that lead now, Jared, underneath 2/10 going into the corner. Terrell is going to pull up to about 2.5 on Terrell, or on McMullen. Big McMullen with that huge run coming out of the corner. Now that leads down to 1.3 going into 3.
There we go, McMullen. There he is. You see it on the screen. It is side-by-side action between these 2 drivers. McMullen has really found something on that outside. He is caught up to the back of Bobby Terrell.
It's definitely an advantage for being on that outside. I think it's going to be about 1 or 2 more laps before he's able to make it done. If he's going to get it done, though, it's going to happen in 1 and 2, Jared. He's just so much faster than Terrell through the exit of that corner. Carries so much more momentum than the 5. He's right there, almost to 1/10 of a second. Now under it, going into 3.
Yeah, he is definitely there. What can he do on the outside? There he goes. Looks to the high side. Bobby Terrell trying to continue to run his race. What will the run be off the turn? It looks like McMullen not going to be good enough through 3 and 4 to really put it down.
No, Jared, it's going to have to happen in 1 and 2. That's where McMullen is way quicker than that 5 machine. Able to run that outside groove, get the momentum out of the corner here. But it looks like his entry is a little bit off here. Not able to close up like he has before, at least not all the way up like he had the lap before.
Chris, is the advantage maybe for Bobby Terrell to kind of move up to the high side in 1 and 2 and then run your line in 3 and 4 where McMullen's not as strong?
I think that's an excellent idea. I would definitely be trying it if I was Bobby Terrell. At this point, even if you give up this position, it's not really hurting you as far as your playoffs go, because you've now got that extra point for leading the lap. You're 1 above Bernard Person as they run right now. I think you're able, well, he'd be 1 above even if he fell back 1 position, up 2 positions right now on him. So it would be in his advantage to just try to get around, let Casey McMullen get around him and kind of figure out what your car needs to be able to run the same grooves as McMullen. He's clearly got a faster car on the long run.
McMullen losing a little bit of time. We're still keeping an eye on a lot of other things going on in the race. Battling back for 10th place, we got a gaggle of Torgerson, Solari, and Vrooman. Also Rachel Hunt in this group. Chuck Sweeting trying to move back forward as well back there. But back up front, it is Terrell and McMullen. The battle for 3rd to 6th, it's close together, Chris, but nobody really making any kind of headway. They're all status quo in that group as well. As the leaders are going to catch Richie Coy again here in a second.
Richie Coy was hoping to get a caution here to not be able to fall. I believe this will be 2 laps down for him. That's not what he was looking as these drivers go around him. He wanted to get an opportunity to get another lucky dog. Now he'll have to do it the hard way.
Back another lap down, and he is actually, oh, here we go. McMullen poking his nose to the inside on Bobby Terrell, down into 3. What a move as TJ Bartell heads to pit road.
And Casey McMullen doesn't like that bottom groove, Jared. We've seen him be in the high groove the entire time. It'll be interesting to see the roles have now flipped as you've got Terrell in the 5 on the outside going through 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is where Casey McMullen was dominant on that outside lane. He's going to drive down as deep as he possibly can on that bottom groove, try to slide up to the 5, not able to do it. 5 with that momentum on the outside that we've seen McMullen do the entire race. Casey McMullen really trying to side draft, though, to get back to him going into 3.
McMullen trying whatever he can. The pit window is open. We called it 85 to 90 is when we expect these drivers to come in. McMullen going to lose a ton of time through 3 and 4 on the bottom, Chris. That car just doesn't like that area.
No, it doesn't, Jared. That bottom groove just does not work. But I think that gave Bobby Terrell the option now. He knows that he can run high in 3 and 4 if needed just to be able to get the momentum off the corner. Now McMullen back to that outside lane. He's going to look to get closer to the bumper. And Jared, he's just so much better in 1 and 2. But 3 and 4, these two are almost even.
Yeah, even, and maybe a slight nod to Bobby Terrell so far in this run. Well, only one driver so far has opened that pay window. TJ Bartell pitting from 11th spot. Likely did not like the way that handling was going. But this is it. Now we got Rachel Hunt coming in from 12th spot.
And interesting to note, TJ Bartell right in front of your leaders here, so he's going to be able to pull away and get away from these drivers. Is now McMullen kind of falling back here. 4/10 is that lead for Terrell.
Got super loose off turn 2. More drivers on pit road. Donnie Staubitz, Josh Johnson have elected to come in pit road. Johnson was running 29th, 1 lap down. Staubitz back in 23rd at the time of pitting. And Hunt in 12th place. Hunt's down and away, but will lose a lap in the process. Battle's kind of tamed down now at this point. 89 laps in the race. That means we've got about 45 laps to go here as pit stops are imminent for a lot of these drivers. A lot of them have already pitted here so far in the race. But it's going to be interesting to see how this strategy plays out. They can make it on fuel from here on, so anybody can come in and still make it. We've had a handful of takers, 5 drivers so far that have pitted.
And Jared, that's great for short pitting. We know how much tires matter here, but the problem is that means you're going to go that much longer on those tires at the end. So looking at it right now, we mentioned it around lap 90s when we expected people to be coming into pit. Now we're hitting that mark right now. It'll be interesting to see if we have any takers from any of our playoff drivers up in the top 10.
Here we go. Still no takers this like, so it's kind of been weird, Chris. I mean, we had TJ pit the earliest on 85. Then we had about 4 drivers come in on 87. 90 is come and gone, and we have nobody else taken right now.
And that's just a strategy move by these drivers, Jared. Really looks like they're kind of just doing whatever they can to keep momentum up going in this run, so that way they can have a little bit fresher tires on that last run.
And keep in mind, these guys, none of those guys we talked about, Josh Johnson, TJ Bartell, Rachel Hunt, none of them are playoff drivers at this point in time. They have already been eliminated or never in the playoffs this year to begin with. Andrew Poliski down on pit road from 14th position. So we got just some stragglers. Very interesting. It's going to really make the end of this race look very interesting as the top 2 have kind of stationaried here over the last 6 or 7 laps, Chris. And Andrew Poliski in pit road, we already talked about that. But otherwise, not really any changes. Here comes McMullen on 92. And an aggressive pit stop. He's going to get down to speed, though. I think he's good. On pit road, the first of our top 10 to pit.
Stephen Vrooman will make the same call going down pit road in that 00 machine. Saw Casey McMullen doing it, thought it'd be a great strategy and great time to do it as he's on pit road as well.
There's the 00 of Steven Vrooman, the no beeswax apiary. He does honey. He's a beekeeper. It's really cool.
And Jared, a mistake by Casey McMullen, drove through his pit stall, had to put it in reverse, didn't lose a lot of time, but right there's a mistake.
A mistake by Bobby Terrell. You were saying that, I was about to pipe up. Bobby Terrell, a very poor entrance to pit road. Troy Torres in the background locking it up. He may not have gotten down speed, but my goodness, Bobby Terrell, he got down to the apron in turn 3. He's going to lose a ton of time. We have got stories developing here in the midst of pit stops. Bernard Persson takes over the lead. Dale Nearad heading to pit road.
Bernard Persson electing to stay out 1 lap to get that extra bonus point. Now he'll have one with Terrell. That'll bring them pretty much dead even again on points as they can come out right close to one another.
Gil Gock, Lane Allen, you see him. Oh, Lane Allen completely locked down. You saw the wheel not even moving. So Ralph Nolen's going to stay out. He's going to get a very crucial bonus point in his chase for the championship. Gehringer is in second. We saw him hit the road a wall earlier. And now McMullen's going to actually not even be a lap down. He's going to go ahead and just get his lap back. So the window is open, lap 95. So we had a 10-lap window instead of a 5-lap window, Chris. 85 to 95 for these drivers.
And Jared, looking at it, Casey McMullen was able to get out in front of Bobby Terrell, and now that gap between those two drivers is roughly about 5 seconds. That's the difference that happened with Terrell losing that much time.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at about 2 seconds right now as everything kind of updating in our timing and scoring here. So Terrell with a very conservative pit road entry. McMullen may have made that mistake, but he still comes out net good in the grand scheme of things. So what a job by Casey McMullen. Ralph Nolen on pit road. He is going to have a slightly conservative pit road entry. Matt Gehringer will stay out and grab a point for leading a lap.
Bill Benedict also on pit road there in the 90 machine. These drivers, Jared, this green flag pit stop sequence kind of working out for Casey McMullen a little bit better than Terrell with that issue on pit road. Brian Helm able to get on and off a little bit faster than Bernard Persson. Dale Nearad as well as he goes around Bernard Persson. So those drivers basically flipped on the pit stop sequence as Troy Torreson also getting around Bernard Persson.
Troy Torreson, Dale Nearad, and Bernard Persson all battling in a tight group here. Troy Torreson was running back in 10th place. He's still in 10th place, but I think when he cycles around, I think he's going to be in the top 5. So good job by the 98 of Troy Torreson, who was eliminated last round in a very shock way at the Roval. But right now, the top 4 have not pitted. That's Gehringer, Mayu, Bruce, and Newton, all non-playoff drivers. Chris, you look at some of those early pitters. Rachel Hunt has cycled her way up into the top 10. Now she's got Brian Helm with 6-lap fresher tires right behind her, as well as Dale Nearad and Troy Torgerson. Torgerson gets around Bernard Persson as we're talking.
And you can see just the difference in those tires as they're able to maintain a little bit faster pace in the corners than Hunt, which is really hurting her at this point. Taking those tires a little bit earlier doesn't always make for the best strategy, but at the moment she's still netting more positions from that pit stop than she had.
And what a job. What a crazy pit strategy this has all turned out to be. TJ Bartel, I want to point on him, he was the first guy on pit road, and that strategy has not worked out for him. He came in 11th. He is currently 16th behind everybody that's pitted. He may gain a couple positions because of Gehringer and company not pitting yet, but Gehringer's still on the track. Ahead of him is some drivers that are playoff drivers that just got their lap back. There's Adam Newton there, Daren Bruce there, and Josh Mayo, all of those guys with significant damage here tonight. They're just kind of trying to wait out the clock, it looks like. $33 laps to go at Kansas. Gehringer, Mayu, Bruce, Newton, those guys last pitted on 50. We know they can do 55 laps on a tank or thereabouts, maybe 60 if you really push it. So these guys still have about 10 laps in their window if they want to stretch it all the way out. That's probably their only gasp at trying to get back in this race. The battle right now is between McMullen and Bobby Terrell. Terrell did stay out a lap longer than McMullen. McMullen with the undercut. We'll see how that plays out. Right now the gap between those two individuals, 1.64 seconds to McMullen's favor.
Yeah, Casey McMullen's lost a little bit of time to Terrell in that 5, but we knew going into this entrance to the run that Terrell would be a little bit faster in that 5. As we go longer in the run, McMullen may get a little bit faster, but it'll be interesting to see. He doesn't have that drive in the corner because he's not trying to close up on Bobby Terrell. Yeah, he's got drivers in front of him, but it's a little bit different when you're trying to keep pace with the driver in front of you than it is with lap cars.
Exactly right, and we'll have to see how this all shakes out. As you see, two battling lap cars back here. That's Kenneth Schultz and Richie Coy. That is not for position. Coy is in 28th, 3 laps down. Schultz in 23rd, 1 lap down. Schultz is going to get around Coy, and now he's going to let McMullen go by pretty easily.
And that gap between McMullen and Terrell is now down to 1.25 seconds, Jared. So Terrell definitely a quicker of the two at the moment.
And we said this before, it was kind of a rubber band. I mean, Bobby Terrell got out to almost a second lead over McMullen, and over the run, it just kind of started coming back to him. Can Bobby Terrell do the exact same thing to Casey?
It'll be interesting to see. He's still committed to that bottom groove. One thing interesting to note, though, Casey McMullen has actually moved down about a car length from his up high groove in 1 and 2. Don't know if that's just to keep his car a little bit in a safer position, knowing that he's in front of Terrell, or if it's just he's finding a different way and trying to conserve tires. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up working out for him.
Right now, 17 drivers on the lead lap. Ralph Nolen Jr., the last of those. He just got his lap back from Matt Geringer. TJ Bartel about to do the same thing in 18th. Top 4 have not pitted. Geringer, Mayu, Bruce, and Newton, all of them kind of trying to hope for a caution. McMullen is actually going to catch Adam Newton on the track here with probably the next few laps. He is on the same side as him right now, and he's got to look underneath. So McMullen going to move up to 4th position.
An interesting position that McMullen's in, as he's having to get around a little bit of lap traffic and a little bit of lead lap traffic here with the 06 of Daren Bruce there, just doing everything he possibly can to get up. No, that is the 05. I apologize. With the lap traffic there, and when he did catch that traffic, it kind of helped Bobby Terrell. Now Terrell's going to have to get through the same traffic, but they're kind of gotten to where they're not running side by side, so it'll be a little bit more of an advantage to that 5 machine.
Gap between these two drivers, since we can't see it on the screen, is under a second. It's 3/4 of a second right now between McMullen and Terrell. Terrell kind of got lucky, didn't really have any problems getting around Newton, Schultz, or Johnson. He kind of caught them in the right spot when they weren't battling each other, and now he's got Jason Spear left on the docket to get around, and now it's just basically between him and Casey McMullen. Half a second. You can actually see it on the screen now how close they are.
That you can, Jared. And one interesting to note here, the track is going to get a little bit cooler as we got a cloud over this racetrack.
Let's take a look at the weather here. You'll see it on the right-hand side. It is now 4:30, a little after 4:30 in game time. Winds have not changed. Track temperature, we said it was 81 to start. It's down to 76, Chris. These guys hopefully have been keeping up with that track, making some pressure and wedge adjustments.
It certainly looks like Bobby Terrell has, as he is now all over the back of Casey McMullen. That gap now less than 4/10 here on the straightaway. McMullen having to work around some of this traffic, kind of hurting his speed here, as now he'll move himself up into the 3rd position, looking for the seconds. We got a caution.
Caution's out. It's Adam Newton, one of the drivers that elected to stay out, and he has gotten some heavy damage in the 20 car. That's going to pay off huge for Matt Geringer. Let's see what happened to Adam Newton. He's coming through the tri-oval and just gets it down on the apron and then just can't hold on to it. Smashes the wall hard. It's a single car wreck, but this is going to set up a fury of a race restart, Chris. Oh, and actually, who was that hit him? That's Dale Neerad. I believe that was Dale Neerad. I took my eyes off for a second, and I think that was the 03. Let's take another look at this replay.
You are correct. It is Dale Neerad that got contact with him, as is Troy Torgerson in the 98. Both those drivers got impacted, but Dale Neerad got the worst of it.
Dale Neerad, engine damage for the 03, and all of a sudden the playoff bubble has just shifted again, Chris. Torgerson got some damage as well. He is not a playoff driver, but still impactful though none the least. But I'll tell you what this caution did. Matt Gehringer has played this thing out, and he is going to come down pit road for a free pit stop.
Man, Jared, seeing that white smoke out of the 03 after having a pretty solid night here, this is really upsetting if you're a Dale Nearad fan. Just seeing that damage there, he is very, very in trouble at the moment.
Very much damaged in that. That's probably a 15-minute repair at least. Brody Hanna, they have gotten a clip back on that car. I don't know if he's going to get out. He could at least gain, with the laps remaining, he can definitely gain one spot for sure. Gehringer down the way. He had a large gap. He was able to pit very early and very soon. Daren Bruce also could be in that same situation. But this is going to be great news for Matt Gehringer as McMullen, Mayu, Terrell, Helm, all off pit road. Here comes Bernard Persson, followed by Wayne Grasse, followed by Rachel Hunt, Chuck Sweeting, Mark Figueroa, James Torrey, Nolan, and Gil Gach, your battle off pit road, Chris.
And Jared, we would be remiss to not talk about this strategy. Gehringer in that 11 machine really doing everything he can to stay in front of Casey McMullen. It's worked out. Now he's on the same strategy. This is going to be an interesting finish here because Gehringer, we haven't talked about him all night until he got the lead on the green flag pit stop sequences there. This is kind of a game changer for this 11.
It's a massive game changer, and he's won one race in his career. And Chris, he can get it done again. Gehringer has a lot to play for. He is 39th in points. He is 81 points below that top 35 line, so he is trying to get himself in that position. Gehringer has not won a cup race. He finished second at Kentucky a couple seasons ago. I thought he won, but it was second place, now that I remember. Second place there. His most recent best finish was a third place finish at Las Vegas, North Wilkinsboro last season, around this time last year. So, Chris, he can get it done at the small tracks. His best Kansas finish, 8th place earlier this year.
Looking to improve on that tonight, but now Casey McMullen's going to be right there alongside him as we get ready to go back green. Mayhew also on the same strategy as Gehringer, net him quite a few positions as he's going to be up here, not really a lot of positions, only 2 positions on his starting position, but he had fell back quite a bit, so now he's up in the 3rd position. An incredible job by that 02.
Yeah, and he had damage from the very first incident on lap 21 tonight, but the 02 doing a good job. All these drivers you see ahead of Gehringer, that bright green car, those are drivers taking the wave round. So counting that down, I mean, we got Poliski in there, we got Vrooman, Schultz, Josh Johnson, Jason Spear, Bill Benedict, Troy Torgerson is actually good. He is on the lead lap, and he was the driver that was involved in that wreck. So all those other drivers I talked about, Bill Benedict going to lead him around to get the wave round. So it's going to be Matt Gehringer leading some laps. He's going to be up front. What can he do? We haven't seen him in this position yet this year. The only Havoc SimSport driver out here tonight. Then we got Casey McMullen, Josh Mayhew, Bobby Terrell, Helm, and Grasse. Playoff implications have changed on this most recent caution. If you're just joining us, Dale Nearad, Adam Newton, his teammate, actually hits the wall, comes back across the track, collects Dale Nearad and Troy Torgerson. Dale Nearad 27th right now. We do have Rupert, Watts, and Staubitz that are completely out of the event right now. Newton on pit road with significant damage, and Hanna, I think, is still getting repairs. I'm not sure, but he is still in the server eligible to return.
And Jared, coming into this race, Dale Nearad was 18 points above the cutoff. Now, with where he's currently sitting, he would be the first driver out. Just if Casey McMullen can get up here and actually get this win, that will be a heartbreaker for Nearad. It'll put him in a tough situation as we take the green flag here. Gehringer going to lead him to the line.
Gehringer, good restart. Casey McMullen on the outside, heading down into turn 1. Bobby Terrell, not a great restart. He stacks him up behind him.
One thing interesting, though, Jared, you've got the 2 most dominant cars all night in that outside lane, so it'd be interesting to see if they're able to work together. No, Casey McMullen going to look to the lower side of Matt Gehringer. He wants to get up here and retain the lead.
Gehringer, and they're all kinds of stacked up behind him. Holy cow, 3 wide back here, Chris, as James Torrey trying to get up here. Here comes Brian Helm. He's going to go to the outside of Mayu. Sticks it through the middle.
Making it 3 wide here for 4th position with his teammate Rachel Hunt behind him, caught up into a wreck.
Hey, huge wreck. Huge wreck. James Torrey's involved. Gil Gock's involved. Other drivers sliding to miss the wreck. Andrew Poliski slides down into his teammate, Steven Vrooman. Huge wreck behind him, and I saw it happen. It looked like Rachel Hunt hit the wall going into the turn. Let's take a replay.
Jared, it looked like she got real close to it, but had to let off of it. And when she did, that car took a hard left turn and then collected the 2 machine of Torrey. Wow, just an impressive wreck all around.
And a driver that got very lucky there was Ralph Nolen Jr. Hard to believe nobody hit James Torrey on the second rebound there. But by our replay, it looked like some sparks did come off the wall with Rachel Hunt, so it looked like she did get the wall. Car's crab walking. That's going to end the race for Rachel Hunt, I would say, at this point. That's good news for Dale Nearad if he can get that car repaired and get back out here. I'm a little bit surprised Brody Hanna has not come back out here to try to gain some points out here, but that car may be completely terminally damaged at this point in time. But, Chris, when that's all started, Casey Mullen was able to get around Gehringer to put him into the lead.
Jared, looking at it, going to have to find out for sure, but it looks like Nearad, he's going to be on pit road for quite a while with that engine damage. He may not be able to get that car off of pit road to gain any positions.
We got several drivers. The top 9 have all elected to stay out. That's 6 of your playoff drivers, Figueroa, Mayu, and Gehringer. But everybody else, Bruce, Benedict, Bartel, Spear, Sweeting, Gil Gock, Andrew Poliski, Kenneth Schultz, all down pit road, along with Troy Torgerson, who's just now coming off of pit road. Loomis, and some drivers a lap down back here. Solari, those guys electing to stay out. But this is going to be huge. Some of those drivers did get damaged, though. So TJ Bartel with some damage. But Jason Spear, not one of those drivers with damage. He's going to come down here and get a set. And Chris, I'm kind of surprised Matt Gehringer didn't. He's got a bonus set in the bank. He hasn't used up all the stuff yet.
No, he hasn't, but it hadn't been that many laps, Jared. So he's thinking that at this point, all the positions he would have had to make up may not have been worth it. He would have ended up being pretty much in the 10th position here. So that's still a lot of cars to pass and not a lot of time.
And that's a good point, too. But I like the call for Jason Spear, definitely. He was in 10th place coming in. He was the first driver to take the opportunity to come down pit road. Daren Bruce, Kenneth Schultz, who was a lap down a little bit ago. Strategies played out for him to get back up there. Chuck Sweeting, Poliski with some damage. He's coming down all pit road. A lot of these other drivers here, Poliski, Torrey, Benedict, Sweeting, all with some damage caught up in that last wreck. Same with Solari. So now, Chris, we've seen this before. I mean, this race has had everything. We started out green flag run. Couple of cautions early, then a green flag run. Now we've had a caution that's kind of came at the wrong time for this race, that really at the end of the day, and is shooken things up. Dale Nearad, the casualty last time. This time around, no playoff driver caught up, but Ralph Nolen Jr. very close to being one of those. But the top 10, all six of the 8 drivers in the playoffs in the top 10, Chris.
That they are, Jared, and you can see Wayne Grossi kind of had a quiet night, but he's up in 7th position. Quiet's kind of what you needed here, as so many other drivers in the playoffs have had a unfortunate end to their night. You either were having a great night or a terrible night, and he's kind of flew under the radar for the most part here tonight.
Yeah, and you look at it, I mean, Wayne Grossi now with this, the damage to Dale Nearad, he is going to kind of sneak his way into the top 4. I mean, him or Brian Helm. They are separated by 3 points. Right now on the track, they're separated by 3 points, so I believe those drivers, I think Helm did lead a lap, so I think Helm would have the nod by 1 point. But, Chris, if I'm not mistaken, your final 4 coming out of this race would be Terrell, Person, McMullen, and Brian Helm. So that's going to shake it up a lot.
That it will. It'll make Martinsville all that more interesting. I don't think you could say Martinsville would be a boring race anyway, but now you've got all these drivers mixed up in the playoffs. Kind of an interesting thing. I definitely would not have seen that coming from this track. But next week, Jared, there's going to be a lot of drivers that's going to have an all or nothing type of attitude, because it really will be all or nothing for those few playoff drivers that'll be fighting for that, basically the last 2 spots.
Yeah, Dale Nearad, the point leader coming in. We have not had a winner clinch, so it's still points. He was the point leader coming in. 18 points above the cut line. Obviously, that's been evaporated with Casey Mullen leading. But that means it was 25 points above Wayne Grasse. So right now, as you said, Chris, I mean, Wayne Grasse in 9th place, Dale Nearad in 28th. So that's not quite that much. So Dale Nearad would still be in the top 4, I think, but it's going to be very close.
And Wayne Grassi's in the 7th spot, 2 positions higher than that.
So there you go. So and Nearad's in 28, so that's 21 points. So yeah, so it's still 4 points to the good for Dale Nearad above Wayne Grasse, but it's definitely going to tighten things up. But that's all unofficial. We'll have the officials here in a little bit. Pace car is off. McMullen and Gehringer will lead him down to the green flag, and it's already back out. Good start by McMullen.
Terrible start by the 11 on the outside. Brian Helm got up and tried to push that 11 to get it going. That's just how slow of a start it was. That's going to give Terrell the 2nd position on that inside line. Now you've got your top 2 all night that are back 1 and 2.
Gehringer trying to hold on to that car. He's got Brian Helm all over the back of him. Terrell moves up into 2nd. Helm goes underneath the 11 into 3.
And behind him, Wayne Grasse now underneath the 0-2 machine of
Contact, reckon. It is Mark Figueroa, Tony Solari involved. Heavy impact, TJ Bartel, Vrooman, Andrew Poliski involved. And this is what happens, Chris. Cautions breed cautions.
That it does. And Jared, we'll have to go back and look. The 26 machine, he may have a little bit of damage from the 11 machine. He's currently scored 5th. It'll be interesting to see if that's where he was when the caution came out or not.
So here we go through the turn 3. He is up. Oh, Figueroa just gets up into the wall. Actually doesn't get in the wall. Tries to hold on to it. Gets loose, and he has cars all around him. Solari nowhere to go. That is Bill Benedict going flying through the air as well. Or no, that's Steven Vrooman. Apologies. Heavy impact, and several drivers very lucky. And you said there was contact between Helm and Gehringer?
Yeah, on the start there, coming to the restart zone or coming out of the restart zone to the line when the 11 didn't take off. 26 got into the back of the 11. It looks like not a lot of damage, but it was interesting because right before that caution came out, he dropped a position.
So that's going to shake things up. McMullen, Terrell, Helm, Gehringer, Person, Grasse, Mayu, Nolen, and Bruce and Spear now in your top 10. Spear has 6 laps newer tires than these other drivers, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that. But now everything has shaken up as you see Josh Johnson get the lucky dog. A couple other drivers coming down pit road. Bartel, Sweeting, and Poliski getting damage fixed. They got significant damage from that wreck, Chris, and really we're down to pretty much the guys you see in the top 12, 13 drivers. Torrey, Schultz, and Benedict back there, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Bill Benedict was not caught up in that wreck. That was Steven Vrooman, as you see behind him. Vrooman, they've taken the entire front end off that car.
And Wayne Grasse able to make up 1 position on that restart there by being aggressive, working out for him. But not too far back now, Ralph Nolen, he's up to 8th position.
Dale Nearad actually is back on the track, Chris. I wanted to point that out. So he has gotten that damage fixed. He is in 27th, and he is about 6 laps behind Rachel Hunt. That is a position he can pick up. And I don't know if Troy Torgerson's still on the track. He is not. Don't think Gil Gock's still on the track. So I think he's got maybe 5 or 6 positions he can pick up, Chris.
And that's good news for him. That'll put him further ahead of that cut line, the 4th driver, I believe, unofficially at the moment.
Yeah, almost certain. No, Rachel Hunt is in the garage, but he still has that opportunity to pass her on the track. Gock and Torgerson are out of the race 100%, and so that is definitely going to work in the favor of Dale Nearad. 12 drivers on the lead lap, and then we have some drivers straggling back here. Schultz, Torrey, Johnson, all kind of getting some pits done here. Johnson was our lucky dog. So 15 drivers on the lead lap, Chris. What can we see in these final 12 laps?
Chaos. I think that's going to be the easiest way to describe it, Jared. We've seen a lot of aggressive moves from drivers in the top 10 here trying to advance their position to really, the cautions are helping a lot of these playoff drivers as they're able to bunch up the field and really take a very aggressive approach to these restarts to make up positions. Wayne Grossi, 1 position right there on that restart. Nolen, 2 positions as he had fell back to 10th right there on the restart. So still able to do it. And he was right there in the thick of it, Jared. If he had been about 2/10 slower, he would have been the first person to make contact with Figueroa in that 04.
Yeah, and that would have been very bad crisis mode for Ralph Nolen. Casey Mullen, he had 2 wins back in 2019, and then he won last year at Charlotte back in May. So he has gone about 60 races, Chris, without a victory. He has done very well this year. A couple third-place finishes at Dover, Auto Club, Vegas, and Daytona. Actually, 4 third-place finishes and a 4th as well. So, I mean, he's been there and thereabouts. He finished 5th last time we were here, as you talked about that pre-race. Casey Mullen, he needs this win. If he's going to get his 4th career Cup Series victory, tonight would be the night to do it.
Absolutely, it would be, Jared, locking himself into that playoff race. That's what these drivers have got to do. They know it. Bobby Terrell knows it. He's thinking about it right now. He knows he needs to get up here and get the win, take it away from McMullen to make it just that much harder next week going into Martinsville. That would help Brian Helm out. Brian Helm, even though he's having a great night here, Jared, still not good enough to get him into the playoff battle for the championship.
And you look at the rest of these guys. Gehringer has never won. Grossi has never won. Mayhew's never won. Nolan's never won. Daren Bruce has never won. So we got a lot of drivers itching for their first win. We're going to see how this is going to turn out. Pace car is off. McMullen and Terrell will lead him down.
10 laps to go. The green flag back out here. The 71. Casey McMullen gets a pretty good restart. It gets a little bit of advantage on the 5 machine. Now Brian Helm. Wayne Grossi, bad restart. He's falling back through the middle of the field, Jared.
Ralph Nolen had to take evasive action. Gets on there, and he gets around, and Wayne Grossi losing a ton of time. He's dropped to 9th. He's got Jason Spear on those fresh tires looking on the outside. 4 wide back here. Benedict through the middle.
While up front, Brian Helm pushing the 71 machine into the corner there. Now he looks to the outside. Not going to be able to make it work. Now got the 8 underneath him. Bernard Person looking to move into second.
Bernard Person trying to punch his ticket. Nobody is guaranteed here tonight. Gehringer, the best hope for a non-playoff driver at this point. He has dropped to 5th. Nolen has come to the front. He's up to 6th place. Here comes Brian Helm trying to go to the outside of McMullen.
He's going to do it, Jared. He is on the quarter panel. He'll go down, try to side draft the 71. He's taking the lead away going into 3.
Brian Helm, who made it in after a scoring issue and that eliminated Tim Bills, he makes it in. He nearly won at Darlington and Dover earlier this year, but late race cautions took it away. Can he take one away from Casey McMullen because of a late race caution? Side by side into turn 1. Maybe some contact with the wall.
These 2 drivers, Casey McMullen has rode the outside lane all race long. Now finds himself in the bottom groove here. It's a little bit of contact between the 26 and the 7.
Oh, they're wrecking!
Round goes Brian Helm.
And Mike Gehringer's involved. Grossi's involved. Sweeting. Josh Mayhew's involved. And Helm is destroyed. And the side draft, Chris, it was aggressive all night. And I think right there, that was it. But we don't know for sure. We're going to take a look at the replay. We have gotten the wrong thing here, so let's take a look here. Here we go. Apologies, we're on the complete wrong thing. We're going to get this in a second. I apologize.
And Jared, we'll give you the
there we go.
Watch this from the chase view or the far chase view. That's going to be the telling sign in this one.
Here's the chopper cam. That's a pretty good one as well. Oh, and that's side draft. Oh, it looks like, I don't know. I don't know. I think they were both not giving an inch for sure. I don't know. Helm may have came down.
Jared. It was an incredible race. I think Helm was trying to force the 71 to pull away from that side draft by going a little bit lower. Either way, a racing incident from very close competitors. We talked about it earlier in this race. These 2 were racing side by side, incredibly close, giving each other room. Well, now within 10 laps to go, it's a little bit harder to give that much room.
Yeah, and it looks like, just side drafting and what I said by earlier that, between Casey Mullen, he was aggressive with the side draft, but the side draft has been aggressive all night up front. So I think that time Those guys just side drafting. I think one of them was just trying to side draft a little more, and then the other one tried to side draft, and they just kind of made that incident happen there. And that is tough for Brian Helm. That is most likely going to put him into a must-win situation next week. Again, I'll tell you another driver that was extremely lucky, Ralph Nolen Jr. and Wayne Grasse. Let's take a look at this again, and I want to look at their perspective, Chris, because they nearly were caught up into it. On board Wayne Grasse now. So there's Ralph Nolen in front of him. He's going to pop to the outside. He's going to follow Matt Gehringer down into the corner. There's the wreck happening. Door closes, and he does get into the wall, but I mean, I'll take that if I'm Wayne Grasse. He almost got an entire car through his car.
And Jared, looking at it, he may have actually gotten contact by Gehringer on the left side of the car too. If not, it was incredibly close.
On board Ralph Nolen Jr. So he's trying to look underneath Bobby Terrell. And Wayne Grasse is coming up on the outside. So you already know that. We already looked at Wayne Grasse. There's Gehringer going through. Here's the wreck right there. And holy cow, Matt Gehringer flips over the 95. And Ralph Nolen will live to see another restart.
Now, Jared, back to the lead positions. Casey McMullen still going to maintain the lead here. What damage does that number 71 car have that we can't possibly see at the moment? That's going to be an issue for him up here with just a few laps to go. Doesn't look too bad. Little wrinkle on the right front, but nothing really to worry about at the moment.
Unbelievable what this race has turned into. After a lot of green flag racing, and now the aggression is up. I don't think Casey McMullen did anything wrong. I don't think Brian Helm did anything wrong, but that's hard racing, and sometimes there's going to be contact. Unfortunately for Brian Helm, he's going to be the guy on the negative side of that right now in the garage. Dale Nearhead's still out there running laps, and this is going to pay off tremendously for him because he's going to be able to pass Figueroa, maybe Figueroa, definitely Brian Helm, and definitely Matt Gehringer. Those guys most likely will not be able to get back out in this race. Chris, Wayne Grasse did hit the wall. He has elected not to get that damage fixed despite only 15 cars on the lead lap. Is that a good call for the 7 car? I mean, is he afraid he's going to lose a lot of positions pitting versus staying out with that damage?
I think with it going to be a green-white checkered here, it's not necessarily worth it to go in and get the damage repaired, Jared. It's one of those things where you've got what you've got at this point. If you lose positions for trying, that's one thing, but not being able to get back up there just because of traffic, that's a total different thing. So that's going to make it all the more difficult. So I think it's worth it to get out here and stay, because right now he's doing a pretty good job. He's still running 4th with the misfortune of the other playoff drivers of the night.
Top 5 are all playoff drivers. Grasse and Nolen have never won. Casey McMullen on a 60-race drought. Person and Terrell have both won this year. The bottom 5 of your top 10, Benedict has never won. Sweeting has won. So has Spear, Bruce. Josh Johnson has never won. So we got some thirsty drivers here. TJ Bartel back up here in 11th, but he's got damage. So does James Torrey, Schultz, Mayu, and Poliski. Loomis in 16th. I don't believe he has very much damage. We'll see what he can do as well. But it's going to be McMullen and Person leading them down. 5 playoff drivers all trying to vie for 4 spots here at Kansas. Can one of them punch their ticket to Phoenix? Here we go. Lights out. Green flag is back out here at Kansas.
That it is. Pretty dead even start between Casey McMullen and the 8 machine of Bernard Person. Bobby Terrell now in 3rd position, trying to push the 71 ahead of Bernard Person so he can have an opportunity at the win. Right now, Casey McMullen to the point.
And Bobby Terrell loose off the corner, nearly gets into the 8 car. Here comes Bobby Terrell to the bottom. Ralph Nolen Jr. there as well. Bernard Person all by himself on the high side. McMullen trying to slide job up the track. Here comes Bobby Terrell, and there's Ralph Nolen.
Where did Ralph Nolen come from? Breaking into the top 5 for the first time all night. Now Casey McMullen on that bottom groove, Jared. That's been the groove that he's been the least likely to be in all night. Now on the outside, Bernard Person has the momentum. He's going to take the lead going into 3, but not quite clear of the 71.
Bernard Person got 1 regular season win. It was at Road America, his first career road course win. He's already won once in the playoffs. Can he make it a double in the playoffs? McMullen side drafted him through the corner. Here comes Bobby Terrell back out, and Chuck Sweeting backs out of it. And Ralph Nolen allowed to go on to 4th place there. And my goodness, we got a 4-way battle for the lead. Final lap of Kansas, coming off turn number 2. Casey Mullen slides up the racetrack. Here we go.
Up the job, now blocking all the way down the back straightaway as he's got the 8 behind him. Going to try to go to that middle line, trying to block runs from both. Now Terrell to the inside of the 8. That's good news for Casey McMullen. Casey McMullen going to take the checkered here. He's going to win, locking himself into the round to the championship race, Jared.
Person nudges Bobby Terrell for 3rd. Ralph Nolen will come home 4th. Bill Benedict grabs a solid top 5, followed by Chuck Sweeting, Josh Johnson, Daren Bruce, and Wayne Grasse. With that damage, it looked like he was just stuck. He's going to finish 9th, and TJ Bartell will finish in the top 10. Jason Spears' engine lets go at the line. He will drop to 11th after running inside the top 10.
What a race, Jared. It really did come down to these last couple of cautions here. Casey McMullen just was able to put himself in a little bit better position there on the last lap to be able to stay in front of Bernard Person in the 8 machine. But got to think, there's at least one driver in the playoffs now, a little upset with that 71 machine, whether or not it was the 71's fault.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that can be blamed. And I know that seems really crazy to not be able to blame somebody for a wreck. We saw a wreck. Somebody's at fault, right? But, I mean, that's just hard racing. But McMullen is going to punch his ticket to Phoenix here at this race. What a job by Casey McMullen. Leads the most laps tonight, and he is going to be the driver into the next round already.
And the 71, he needed it. We talked about it coming into this race. He was in, I believe, he was in 5th out of the playoffs, 18 behind the leader, Dale Nearad. Dale Nearad with issues tonight. Brody Hanna with issues. Both of those drivers will fall in the point standings. Dale Nearad looks to be in 4th at the moment, when officially Brody Hanna going to drop severely in this race. Casey McMullen really doing a good job here tonight to lock himself in. May not have been in a must-win, Jared, but it certainly makes next week at Martinsville a lot easier.
Here's the unofficial point standing. So Casey McMullen, he is into the Phoenix round, the only driver that is clinched. Bernard Person now has a 32-point gap on Wayne Grasse, so that almost, if not completely, gets him in. If we have less than 32, he will be locked in by just starting next week. Bobby Terrell, 29 above the cut line. Nearad, 11 above the cut line. Grasse, with that late race damage, doesn't get the finish he probably needed or deserved from the race. He's going to be still 5th in points, tied with Ralph Nolen. Both of them 11 points behind. Actually, Ralph Nolen's 1 point ahead as the bonus point. He did get a bonus point for leading a lap. So he is 10 points behind. Brody Hanna and Brian Helm, they've got a lot of work to do. Must-wins for both those drivers.
What an incredible race, Jared. I don't think if we had come into this race and you would have told me that we'd have had this many playoff drivers with issues that it would have been possible. I know we saw it in the real world in the NASCAR Cup Series yesterday at Kansas with a lot of different playoff drivers having issues there, but I didn't think we'd see quite as many issues out of playoff drivers here tonight. But Kansas, pretty treacherous racetrack.
Kansas proved to be treacherous at least tonight. What a job by our top 3. I mean, they were the 3 drivers all night long, Chris. And my goodness, it was a race to remember for a lot of these guys.
That it was. Certainly an interesting night. Kudos to Ralph Nolen getting up here in the 4th position. He really had to work hard to get up there, plus 22 positions on the night.
Let's take a look at our results, and then we're just going to jump right into our our interviews here. Let's take a look at the results. There they are on the screen, and you'll see it. Casey McMullen, the winner, 2/10 over Bernard Person. Terrell Nolen, your top 4, they're all playoff drivers. Benedict, the best non-playoff driver, in 5th over Chuck Sweeting. Josh Johnson with a solid run. Daren Bruce. Wayne Grasse drops tonight. TJ Bartell. You look through the rest of it. Spear, Torrey, Schultz, Poliski, Loomis, and Mayu all finished on the lead lap. Lane Allen and Vrooman 1 lap down. Richie Corey recovers for 19th after being involved in the early accident. And Figueroa gets 20th, 5 laps down. You look further back, Gehringer, who is up front toward the end of the race, he's going to come home 21st. Helm does hold off Dale Nearad for 22nd, so Dale was not able to get another point there. That's could be crucial. Solari, Newton, Gilgock, Troy Torgerson, Hunt, Ballard, and Staubach, your top 30. Then you have Watts, Rupert, and Hanna rounding out your field tonight.
Incredible race here, Jared. It really was a lot harder racing than I think I would have expected. A lot of drivers getting stuck in uncomfortable positions three wide. We saw a lot of three wide racing at the end, but even in the middle and runs that we were having here, there were a lot of different times where drivers were just being really aggressive, and rightfully so, as they needed those positions.
You're exactly right, Chris. Well, we have caught up. Chris, I believe you have caught up with our third place finisher tonight, Bobby Terrell, who had a front row seat for a lot of action.
I certainly have. Bobby, that number 5 machine looked to be a very, very fast machine up front. What was it going to take here tonight to be able to get you up into that pole or that winning position?
Green laps. I mean, you can't. I needed green laps. I mean, I felt like I had a really good long run speed tonight. I could go anywhere on the track I wanted to go. Just disappointing, you know. I mean, I don't know what all the cautions were about on the track. You know, the track's pretty simple to drive, but I don't know.
You know, Bobby, coming into this race, you definitely did not need to get up here and win. I'm sure it would have been nice, but even having this top 3 position, can't help but to hear it, the disappointment on your voice. What really was your plan here at the end? We kind of saw a little bit of an incident on the pit road entry there on that green flag pit stop. You think that had anything to do with the track position here at the end?
I have no idea. You know, I don't know. It's hard to say. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's racing. You know, I mean, it could have. I mean, it's just racing. It's disappointing, but it's racing. To have such a, I mean, this was a winning car tonight. I mean, it's just disappointing.
Absolutely. And Bobby, is there anyone you'd like to thank that helps gets this number 5 to and from the virtual track?
You guys in the booth, Jared, Chris, for everything y'all do on the broadcast. All the league admins for running this league, and then congrats to Casey, man. Awesome win. Had a good battle with him all night. It was awesome. Congrats to Bernie too.
And looking ahead to next week, we head to Martinsville. Bobby, what is it going to take to get this 5 in the lead at a track that is a pretty difficult one to get around, especially with the competition here in Full Throttle Cup Series?
Well, I mean, if I've got a good set, I mean, I like Martinsville. You know, if I've got a good set, I should be up there contending for the win. I sure hope so.
Absolutely. We'll be looking forward to that next week at Martinsville. Congrats on the P3. I know you're disappointed, but still a great finish here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Shout out to my team too. Thanks for all the work that they did this week.
And Jared, you can hear the disappointment in Bobby's voice there. Finished third, but definitely felt like he had the winning car here tonight. But you've caught up with the guy that finished second here, that number 8 of Bernard Person.
Yeah, I've caught up with Bernard Person here tonight. Bernie, what a race you had from the back to the front and everything in between. Talk us through. I guess we can start at the very end there. Some contact between the race leaders. Did you think that was your opportunity to maybe slide by and get this win?
Oh, I was just thankful I didn't get involved in that. I was like, please don't come back up the track. It's kind of sad, disappointing for what happened to Brian, but that's racing, especially in the playoffs. He's a great teammate. But, man, what battles on the track.
We saw it all night. We saw, aggressive side drafting from a lot of drivers out there. We saw a lot of 3-wide maneuvers throughout the pack all night long. As the playoffs, is that feeling kind of transponded through the entire field? Is that why we're seeing the kind of racing we got at Kansas tonight? Or is it just everybody knowing that they want to get a win before the season's out?
It could be a combination of both. I know everybody wants to be in it and have that bragging rights with these group of guys that we have. It's, I've always said it time and time, anybody from the top 20 can win these races, and you just have to be on your game, race in and race out.
Well, Bernie, you had a great run. You got a lap led. We had a lot of different things going on in this race. I mean, it looked like Bobby Terrell and Casey Mullen kind of had the long run speed. You looked like you were kind of like the third horse in that race. Did you think you had anything for those two drivers if that went green and kind of stayed the way it was looking?
No, they were in another zip code, Bobby and Casey. I kind of like switch setups tonight. I should have just kept what I was practicing with all week again. But yeah, they were just in another zip code. I had nothing for them.
We go into Martinsville. You have a 31-point lead over Ralph Nolen, who is in 5th place in the points officially now. The results are now updated. That pretty much, Martinsville, we had 33 tonight, but you're looking very much like a soft lock, I'll call it. Not a hard lock, not 100% into Phoenix, but a soft lock. So what is your strategy going into Martinsville next week? We know how that race can be. Could be a lot of cautions, could be a lot of contact, could be a lot of tempers. What does this 8 team need to do at such a track with so much contrition?
Well, I like Martinsville. I'm pretty good there. But going into Martinsville, it's always, I always say it's like going into a super speedway. You just want to stay out of trouble. Don't worry about what people are doing in front of you and just run your race, and hopefully things work out for the better.
Well, Bernie, congratulations on the runner-up, and what a solid points night for you, regardless of the result. I want to turn the mic over to you, let you have a quick shout-out, and, of course, as always, us up here in the booth at Full Throttle TV, definitely keeping Mia in our thoughts and prayers. I know you're racing with her again tonight.
Thank you, Jarrett, for mentioning that. But I always like to thank you guys in the booth. It's always fun going back and listening to the broadcast. I want to congratulate Casey for his win and moving on into the chase. And for Brody for this awesome league that he has put together, and all the drivers that participate in it, race in and race out, and all my teammates who put in the hard work day in and day out, staying up late just to try to keep up with all these guys.
Well, there you have it, Chris. Bernard Person, solid points night for him, looking to get into Phoenix. And I believe you caught up with Casey McMullen, grabbing his first win in 62 races.
I've caught up with Casey McMullen, the guy who does not have to worry about the next week's outcome. He's going to race for the championship at Phoenix as in 2 weeks. Casey, take us through your race here tonight.
Holy man. I'll tell you what, that's in practice, I knew I had a good piece, and we all had a good piece, me and Lane and Steve, and man, phew. I the first 20 laps there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing, this is exactly what I was thinking was going to happen. And then here comes Bobby, and I was like, oh man, it's going to be a me and Bobby show again. We've had a couple fights in the truck series this year, man. I tell you, that guy's so good. Just hung on to it and tried to keep it off the wall tonight. And man, just lucked out there. Unfortunately for Brian, I hate it that we got contact there. Really hate it for him, and just want to apologize to him and anybody else that got. But I'm excited to be in the Final Four.
Casey, and I have to ask this, has nothing to do with that contact between you and Brian. When it came time for that green flag pit stops, we talk about one of the keys to the race every week basically is no mistakes coming to pit road or on pit road. You slid through your pit stall. What was going through your mind when you at that moment?
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm going to have to really run out these first few laps to try to build a little gap, because I think, after the tires would have wore out, I would have had a good opportunity holding off Bobby, maybe. But he was pretty good. I thought I kind of blew it there, and just kind of lucked out. I guess he didn't have as good a pit stop, or the tires were just that much of a difference.
It was interesting to see you came out about 2 seconds above him. He had a little bit of issue getting on the pit road, lost a lot of time to you there, but was able to get pretty close to you as you were working your way through traffic there. You were getting caught up in the traffic. He was able to weave in and out a little bit better than you, and he came home third here tonight. But when we interviewed him earlier, he seemed very disappointed. He seems to think that he may have had the car to beat here tonight, but you were able to get out in front. Next week, we're heading to Martinsville, tough track. What can expect out of the 71 team, and does tonight's win make next week any different for you?
Yeah. Next week is I'm going to go try to get another win. Won there before. Just hopefully it goes well. I know these the Spirit Group, they're pretty good at these Martinsville tracks, and man, just excited to be in the next round, not have to worry about Martinsville, because it's normally I'd probably just take it easy, but we'll see what happens next week. Might be a little bit more aggressive. Hopefully, don't run anybody over or anything.
Absolutely. Want to give you a moment to thank anyone back home that's watching, anyone that helps and gets this team to and from the track. Take it away.
Yeah, I would like to thank my wife, my kids, and Blackwater Products USA, Steve Barry, who's been with us for the last 3 years here. He's really helped our team out, helped our league out, and we really appreciate everything he's done. And thank everybody here at the league. Man, we love it here at FTSR, and I think I'm going to be back next year in the Cup Series for the next gen. I wasn't too excited about that, but I'll be back and do some truck racing. Anyways, thanks everybody. Thanks for the broadcast. You guys do a great job.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Casey. We'll look forward to seeing this 71 next week in Martinsville and see if you can make it 2 in a row.
Hey, we'll give it a shot. And also shout out to God. Thank you, God.
Absolutely. Jared, you could hear it. Casey, she has a sigh of relief over that driver of the 71 machine. He knew what tonight meant for him going into what would pretty much be the wild card race of this playoff battle of this round, eliminating down to 4 after next week's Martinsville race. But he doesn't have to worry about it. He's already going to be there.
And what a interview process. I mean, we talked about Bernard Person. I mean, he was pretty happy with his night overall. I think Casey Mullen very happy, but Bobby Terrell. I've interviewed him 20 times over the last year, and that's the most emotion I've seen out of Bobby Terrell. Usually a pretty calm, relaxed guy, but was not happy about the cautions. Was not happy about the momentum swings in this race that kind of went against that 5 team. But looking ahead to Martinsville, I mean, he is 28 above the cut line. Bernard Person, 31 above the cut line. Casey Mullen, the only driver locked in. But you got Dale Nearide. He's 10 points ahead of Ralph Nolen, 11 points ahead of Wayne Grasse, 24 above Brody Hanna, and 26 above his teammate Brian Helm. In Martinsville, we never know exactly how many drivers we're going to get there, but 30 drivers, and Bernard Person and Bobby Terrell both locked in to the Championship 4, which makes things even more crazy. We know how much attrition can happen at that short track.
Absolutely, Jared. And actually, looking at it, don't know that Bobby Terrell is actually locked into it yet. He's close, but if he ends up having a night kind of like Brody Hanna here, it's going to put him right there on the cutoff. Yeah,
exactly right. And maybe I misspoke, but almost locked in for Bernard Person and Bobby Terrell. They need less than 28 drivers to show up next week to get 100% guaranteed without anything happening. But that's going to do it for Kansas tonight. We will see you guys next week at Martinsville. Hope you'll join us then. But for Kansas Speedway, for Full Throttle Sim Racing, for Chris Spear, I'm Jared Carr. We will see you guys out on the track.